Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app, your home smart speaker, and up on TSN 4. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Frankie Corrado, a little pro athlete salute.
What's up, boys?
To start the afternoon. I'm excluded immediately from the pro athlete salute. Disappointing.
Frankie, it's great to see you, and I have to tell you, I was golfing last week, and my phone was sitting in the cart, and my buddy Danny said to me, he goes, I wasn't being nosy, and I know you're heavily connected in the sports world, but were you texting Bryson DeChambeau? And I said, no, I wasn't. And he said, well, who is that? And I said, Frank Corrado. His name is in my phone as Frank DeChambeau. And this guy saw DeChambeau and he said, are you texting Bryson DeChambeau?
Okay.
I said, no, kind of, Frank Corrado.
The equivalent, the Canadian version of Bryson is Frankie.
I feel like, you know when Happy Gilmore gets hit by the car and his shoulder hurts and he can't drive the ball far anymore? That's how I feel now.
Yeah, you got hit?
I don't play that much anymore.
That's disappointing.
Not even out. My swing is, who knows what my swing is. But it'll come back.
You'll find it. You'll find it. You got young kids. You're working through things.
You'll be golfing again in 5 years, mister. That's when you'll be golfing.
Yeah, that's when you get back into the swing of things. That's about right. I would say when I had my first, it was like, I maybe played 5 times the first 5 years she was around.
Yeah.
Maybe. And each round, the first time I played was like mid-September. I get invited somewhere through work, and I'd be like, what's the point by this?
Can't you toss out the idea? It's what I've always done. So it's the norm for me.
Okay. So you've written the book on this. I can't wait to hear.
If you want to tee it early, you can present the idea. If you just man the fort until 10:30, I'll be home, and then you're off duty, and I got it the rest of the way. If you wanted to play.
That is a great point, and I think that's definitely a reasonable request. My thing was, with like anything in life, any hobby or whatever, the less you do it, the less you think of it and you care for it. Like that was my thing with like playing golf or whatever else.
You stopped caring about golf?
Yeah, I did because I stopped playing. But then when I swung back in, it was like I can't wait to start playing again. It's just, I think that's life, man. Like the more you're into something, the more you have this kind of fascination or obsession with that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Golf or photography or chess or painting or, whatever it happens to be.
Beer league.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
Beer league guys, they play once a week.
All the time, though.
Got to play 2-3 times a week. Since we're talking about, I wasn't going to bring this up. This is going to be my own little secret. But after the show today, I'm driving straight to my course, grabbing a cart, and playing like a 9 holes by myself in like 45 minutes.
A wine and dine.
Little
like, 9 and dine solo.
It's literally just like I have such an itch to get out there that I am going to boogie up to King City, and I'm playing, and I'm going to have the game on. Like I brought my iPad.
I love it.
Hotspot it to my phone, and I'm watching the first period playing 9 holes.
I love that idea
but that's what I'm doing. And I told my wife, I'm like, I'm thinking of doing this tonight. Your mom's here. She's going to help put the kids down. Go ahead.
Go ahead, because it's almost the longest day of the year. It basically is.
Yeah.
Like, you could be outside doing stuff until about 9:20 tonight. You could get in 18. You realize that if you're solo, you could do it. You could fly around.
Try for 18?
I've played 18 holes, and my buddy Pat, I won't say your last name because I don't know who you want to know this or not want to know. It wasn't bad, but he would jimmy up a car seat onto the golf cart. And we played like it was.
Yeah, he put his kid in there. Oh, yeah, I've seen that before. I've seen that kind of behavior. I won't name names either, but I've seen it.
No, I've seen a full child snoozing, eating, having a great time in the car seat in a golf cart, 18 holes of golf.
Yeah, listen, you got to get creative. Sometimes you got to get creative, and it sounds like you're going to do that, and I love that idea.
I did it Sunday. I got 9 holes in 35 minutes, and I really rushed.
Yeah, you can fly around. I think, like, as long as you're playing your ball and you're not messing around, I'm going to re-putt that
one
or
ball
re-hit
away
that.
we go.
Let's go out and play and have fun. And yeah, that's the beauty of it's beautiful now. Finally, like it is kind of crazy. We got Game 6 of the Cup Final, and it's 30 degrees out. And think about what it is in Florida. It must just be absolutely abnormal, absolutely obscene how hot it would be outside of the rink in Florida tonight. But the Cup will be in the building, right? I think this is the last dance, isn't it, for our boy with the white gloves, Philip Pritchard? I believe he's retiring.
Yeah?
I think he's retiring after this year. I think so. That's why they did down at the Hockey Hall of Fame the Philip Pritchard lookalike stuff to commemorate, his incredible career. Look that up, Duke. He might have one more year, but I think it's coming up on the end of the road for Philip Pritchard. He's going to pass the gloves off.
Wow.
To somebody
hope
else.
the last 10 years he was smart enough to understand, to bring some kind of small camera crew with him. Not that there wouldn't be anyway, and some kind of Netflix maybe PG version of just Days with the Cup. I'd watch that.
Yeah, that would be a really cool behind-the-scenes story. The thing is, you'd have to get everyone to sign off on it.
Yeah,
because
and there's probably people that are shattered and they don't want it. And
everyone's day with the Cup. I'm sure there's some extreme activity happening.
That job posting didn't make its way onto LinkedIn. I can guarantee.
No, that one they've handpicked somebody that is capable of the lifestyle and the travel and
you got to
everything.
have your liver trained well for something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's the number one thing when it comes to training for that job is how much can your liver take?
Do you think he's partaking in the parties though? Is that because it's a good question? Would that be a party foul if Philip Pritchard's just sitting in the corner and you're like, Phil, we'd rather you join us. It's awkward. You're just sitting there with your white gloves. Come on in. Can you hammer a couple of drinks with us?
Got to be an element of peer pressure. Whether he succumbs to it or not, we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's a lot of people that are hospitable.
I'm sure. Listen, how could you not be? If you're hosting a cup party, how would you not be the most jovial, gracious host of all time? I mean, I couldn't imagine a better place to ever be in.
Maybe not so much now, but back in the day.
Definitely before cameras and stuff like that. Back in the day, I'm sure it got great.
If he partook every time, it was he would have a long summer. If it was because every day it's the biggest day of their life, and if he got involved in that would be a messy summer.
But could you imagine if he did it every day, and the people who were having the once in a lifetime party looked at him and were like, this guy's hungrier than us for this party.
Well, it could be like what we just talked about. The more you do something, maybe Philip Pritchard's got the itch, right? He's like, get me on this Cup tour.
I would guess that he's
hungry.
Not touching booze. I got to babysit this thing. I got to make sure no one takes it. I got to make sure.
Well, what about tonight and the next couple of nights? The pre-planned parties is one thing. Hey, August 12th, you're going to Stockholm, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but I think if they win it tonight, Hayes, I think the guys are like, Phil, we're taking the Cup with us, and you ain't coming, and
that's what
you got to trust us to bring it back somewhere tomorrow.
Right, that's the one you want access to. That's where you want the Netflix cameras or the Crave cameras or whatever. What are the Panthers doing with that thing for the next 48 hours if they win tonight? Because the Larry O'Brien's going to be in the building in Indiana on Thursday night, and obviously the Cup is in the building tonight. And it's, I keep looking at this final through the lens of the Oilers just because of the connection to the team, the Canadian connection, the McDavid-Draisaitl storyline. But I was thinking about it coming in here where I think we can run off, the obvious pressure list players on the Oilers. Stuart Skinner's going to start tonight. Massive amounts of pressure. He's got to play great. He has to play great for 2 straight games. McDavid,
I think he would be at the top.
Yes, I agree with you. I think Skinner's number one. I think the nature of the position, the goalie, the fact that he's yo-yoed in and out, he's going back in.
Because if he's no good and it's a 4 or 5 spot, there's nothing McDavid. You can't say McDavid and Draisaitl needed to get 6 tonight.
Yes, exactly.
You can say that, but that would be bizarro talk.
Right. It's Skinner number 1. I think it's clearly McDavid number 2. McDavid, in my opinion, he's got to be the best player on the ice. I think 3 of the 5 games he's been between okay and good, not great. Couple of games he's been great. At moments he's been great. I don't think he's had this unbelievable, unforgettable final. Like, that has not been the case with McDavid.
But I will say this. He has had some moments, Hayes, and Draisaitl's had some moments. But I also think that there's been a real drop-off from their, like, Connor Browns, Evander Kanes, Janmarks, like Nugent Hopkins, who's clearly injured. But, like, there's been a drop-off with those guys because they were stepping up massive in previous series.
Yeah.
Well, it's got a Leaf feel to it.
Yeah.
Well,
like, who
I
are
know.
you
It's
looking
like,
at?
but what has Evander Kane done in this series except take stupid penalties? I think
Nothing.
he scored
There've
one
been a
goal
lot
in
of
the
that.
first or second
also,
game.
the no Zach Hyman conversation, probably this is where you start having it, right? Like, Connor McDavid has been, like you said, he's been okay. He's been fine. Like, having Zach Hyman would help Connor McDavid. And I know it's weird to say that because the guy is the best player in the world. But the best players always have, in any sport, they have like that one go-to guy. And I know Draisaitl's there with McDavid, but not being able to have Hyman and McDavid and then maybe mix Draisaitl on the second line, like the nuclear option hasn't gone well for them either. So it's that I think that factors in, but it's one thing of many things that are happening.
Yes, the Hyman absence at some point was going to show its face, and it probably has by now. But they knew it was coming. He wasn't going to play.
Yep.
The season's done, and you've got to live with it. I mean, that's the thing about Florida, to their credit. Now, Tkachuk is banged up, but he's been banged up the whole time. He hasn't missed a shift. He hasn't missed a game. Like, they have been remarkably healthy and on their toes and prepared to play. But, again, I think Skinner's number one on that list for the Oilers. McDavid's a clear-cut number two. I think naturally you would go Draisaitl 3, but it may be Ekholm after the game he just had, and the position he plays and how important he is. It might be Bouchard. Like, it may not be Draisaitl at number 3 in terms of, who has to have a game tonight. But if you look at the series, and again, you look at McDavid and the way that he's played, like, let me run off some names here, and you guys tell me who you think has had a better series, right? Just this series. McDavid or Brad Marchand?
Marchand.
McDavid or Sam Bennett?
Bennett.
McDavid or Barkov?
Maybe you could go McDavid.
It's like sawed off.
I think Barkov's been better as the series has gone on.
Yeah, it's better,
but it's close.
Yeah, that's too.
Well, it's
that's
not
close,
about
close
defensive.
to call.
We're not
Yeah,
talking about
no.
defensive. We're talking about making impacts.
You
I
can
think
saw
that
that
one's
one
a
off.
saw.
Okay. McDavid or Draisaitl?
Draisaitl.
Okay. So I think you start there. There's at least 3 forwards that have been more impactful. You could look at Reinhart. He scored 2 big goals in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
If you want to throw in Bob,
in any other series
Forsling.
this guy's played in, Hayes, you've never been able to say that.
And that's what I think I'm getting to in preparation for tonight. Exactly. That he still has an opportunity to spin all that, and they get a win tonight. They get a win in Game 7. It's all good. But yes, you're right about the depth that hasn't been good enough. And Knobloch continues to bring people in and out, and he's doing it again tonight. They've had injury problems where Florida hasn't. Florida has been exceptional from top to bottom. But if you can run off 4 or 5 forwards, that says nothing of Forsling and maybe Seth Jones and others who have just simply had a more impactful series than the best player. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And I think it speaks to what he has to do tonight.
I think Knobloch's running out of blender material. I mean, if he goes with this new jumbled up lineup with different D pairings and forward lineups and then 5 minutes in, it's the blender again, it's almost like that could be the end of the line. You're out of combinations and you got nothing because it's just you can only go so far. You're playing against the team. How many line changes have they had up front, if any?
Barely any.
Yeah, barely
like
any.
The fourth line has changed a little bit.
And maybe it's as simple as, without Zach Hyman, they haven't found the depth and they're out of gas. And Florida just has that ultimate depth, and they're able to just roll it out there and say, this is what we got, which is the ultimate luxury for a coach.
Yeah.
This is what we got, and you have to react to it.
The other thing about all these lineup changes, Klingberg in, Kapanen in, they're so secondary to the main issue is that you need the way the Edmonton Oilers are designed is for Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to be the best players and go call it hero mode, have a legacy game. They're not designed the same way as the Florida Panthers. So for the Oilers to be successful, of course, you need depth contributions, but you can't count on it every single time. And that's an issue for the Oilers, whereas it's not an issue for the Florida Panthers, where they've got how many goals from Barkov? Barkov's got 1? in the series?
He's got 6 in the playoffs.
6 in the playoffs?
And I believe.
And it's like they're basically asking him, what is it you do best? You check. You're the best defensive forward. Go do that to the best of your ability, and we got other guys that will score.
Yeah.
And you look around the league, how many number one centermen on their team can you say that about? Like, just go be the best checker, and we'll score around you. Not very many.
Yeah, it's
less
not
than
many.
a handful.
And yet he still has the ability to break. He could score 2 tonight easily and be the guy like that. And that's kind of what I was getting to is like we're looking at the Oilers side of things. Like who could be the hero on Florida? It's much more difficult to pinpoint because it has been Sam Bennett. It has been Brad Marchand.
But Reinhart could show up tonight and be the guy.
Absolutely.
And Forsling could rip home
Dude,
one.
Lundell
and
could be the guy.
Yeah. Yes.
Like that guy, Luosterainen, all of a sudden, he's throwing passes.
Household name, that guy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Verhaeghe's a big game player. Like he has been his whole run in Florida. He's been a big game player. Yeah. So, or Bob. It could just be Bob goes, boys, don't worry about me tonight.
Yeah, guys, that just comes
get ready
back
for
to
your party.
The bigger picture comment about these guys. It's just a total team, and there's ultimate depth, and it's just they buy each other time to show up in different times of the playoffs, and that's what they do. It must be the ultimate luxury for Paul Maurice.
Do you guys think that the McDavid game is available to him tonight, where he just goes psycho and it's like you can't stop him and he propels the team to a win?
I think it should be available. I think it's obviously very difficult against this team. It's the toughest test you can get in the sport is performing at an extreme level against Florida. Just the way they're built, how good they are. You're either on the ice against Barkov, Bennett, or Lundell. Like that, immediately who you're going up against is a formidable foe. But if you're the clear-cut best player in your prime and the most desperate you've ever been in your life on a sheet of ice, it has to be available to you. Like it has to.
I just don't know, man. Like the 1v3, 1v4 stuff that's like superhuman.
I mean, he's still playing with Nugent Hopkins and probably Perry tonight, and they're gamers. And I don't know how healthy Nugent Hopkins is, but if he's out there with those two and Bouchard and Ekholm on the point, and Draisaitl's going to be filtered in with them as well, it's not. You look at probably Gretzky, one of Gretzky's most famous games, of course, Game 7 at the Gardens against the Leafs. And he had some bounces that went his way that night, but he had 5 points.
Yeah.
He had a hat trick and 5 points. And, he went in there and just said, this is what's going to happen tonight. Now, I don't know if you can expect it twice. And that's what is difficult, is that the Oilers are going to need this twice. And maybe it doesn't have to be McDavid. Maybe it is Skinner in a low-scoring game. Who knows what it's going to be, what combination it's going to be. And ultimately, it doesn't matter for McDavid. You just got to find a way to win it. But if it gets to that point where they're down 2-0 early for whatever reason, you got to elevate. You have to elevate. It's like these are the moments in anyone's career when you're of a stature of that player. We're talking the best of the best. There are already a fair amount of very, very smart hockey people that believe he's the greatest player ever. And it's like, if that's the case, you can't have a final like this where you just kind of blend into the finals.
Guess what the Florida Panthers are saying with what I just touched on with their depth kind of falling off and not producing? The Florida Panthers are entering this game saying, those two guys aren't going to beat us tonight, and we'll take our chances with the other ones. That's going to be their game plan, we've seen in
especially
other games.
on home ice.
Yeah, on home ice, we're going to
get
matchups, and we're going to eliminate those. We're not going to get beat by those two players. You'd be insane to approach it any other way.
Yeah.
And if they find a way and they go nuclear and they do it, then what are you going to do? As Ekblad said after one of the games, that's McJesus. What are you going to do? That's just something that he does.
Well,
but they'll take their chances to say, we're not going to give them an inch of ice tonight. And it wouldn't shock me if they got not a lot cooking around the neutral zone, any speed, any room, because they're going to say, we are not letting those two guys beat us, and shame on us if we take any sort of penalty.
Yeah.
Early in the hockey game, at any time in the game.
You can make a mistake. You can let your guard down. You can lose focus, whatever. But, like, if you compare this hockey, greatest player conversation to other sports, right? Like, if it was basketball and we were talking about Jordan, it's like the ball could go to him, and he's hitting threes, and he's hitting his shots. Like, if you're talking football, you're talking a quarterback that just, like, he's hitting everything. You can't translate that to hockey. Hockey's so random. You want to wind it up on a power play, I don't know if that has the same feel as like you're getting the ball at the top of the key and you're just nailing every single shot and going off for 50 points.
No, it's not. I mean, every sport is different. I guess where I struggle with is the reaction afterwards. Where like we have an example with McDavid. I didn't think Game 7 last year, the Cup Final, he did much.
Yeah, that's true.
And I was criticizing him for that, and I took heat. Because it was like, well, it's a team thing. And I'm like, all right, here I am thinking biggest game of his life, Game 7. I didn't think he played that well. You're right. You can't, it's not the equivalent of basketball or football. It's not where you can look at a quarterback or a pitcher in baseball and say, that guy's on his game and he's hitting the black and he's unhittable and you expect that out of him tonight. But I do think there's a middle ground where there has to be some sort of boxes that have to be checked, where you can't just sit there and say, well, I didn't have it because of Florida. It's like, okay, then what conversation are you ever going to have about a great player in this sport?
Yeah, fair.
Like, this is the biggest platform. It's unfair to maybe apply it to every game ever played, but this is Game 6 of the Cup Final. He's got to have a night. Like, the idea that it's just, well, Florida checked him so well. Okay, well, then I'm sorry, because no one did that with Gretzky and Lemieux and Bobby Orr. Like, you got to break through it.
Especially after last year, right? That would be 2 in a row.
Yes.
2 years in a row.
And if Bob robs you, you have 12 shots on net, and you just can't break through, you hit 4 posts, hey, okay. But if it's like the other night where it's like, I didn't really notice that guy, he scored a nice goal and the game was over, that to me is not going to cut it. And I think he should be held to a higher standard than that.
That is fair.
Mike Johnson will join us. We've got Noodles coming up live from the Cup Final as well. Confirmed or denied today. Keegan will join us. Keegan Matheson ahead of the series with the Jays and the Diamondbacks starting down at the Dome today. Some transactions as well, courtesy of the Blue Jays, that we'll get into. Bowden Francis on the IL. Shockingly, the old, we need a breather, let's find something and put him on the IL move by the Jays. It was mandatory. You knew it was coming. It's a smart play. We'll catch up with Keegan on that in a couple of hours. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Overdrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Frankie Corrado, confirm or deny just after 5 o'clock. Got Keegan Matheson coming up, Jays, Diamondbacks tonight, NBA Finals, Oklahoma City back in the driver's seat. Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, unbelievable last night. Pacers did not cover the number. That's disappointing. So more on that a little bit later this afternoon. But we head down to Florida for the first of multiple trips this afternoon. Here's our TSN hockey analyst, Mike Johnson. How you doing, Johnny?
What's going on, Hayes? When we get to the final, it's a funny dynamic with the media because you know what it's like, right? Like we're here, it's in Florida, it's in Edmonton, it's a lot of fun. We're down in the sun. But now that it's almost over, and, we don't really care who wins. If you're not an Oiler fan or a Panther fan, the prospect of the season being over and being able to, kind of go home and have it be done becomes pretty appealing at this point in the proceedings.
So you're saying the media would be happy, not happy, but it would be like
yes.
The hockey fan would be like, oh, let's get one more Game 7. It would be so awesome. But the kind of regular dude is like, wrap this thing up and let us get back to real life.
Bingo. Could not have said it any better. Now, no one would act that way when it happens. If Edmonton wins, no one's going to be cursing. But that's exactly it. If it's going to end, let's get it over with and let's get summer going.
Well, that brings up an interesting question about the mentality of the Panthers tonight, because you got to think they're thinking the same thing. Like, we have no interest in going back to Edmonton. None. So could you, how could that play a role in their approach tonight? What might you see in the first period from Florida that would indicate these guys are severely desperate to win this evening?
More the same. For Florida, this entire experience has been about doing more of the same. They don't do it perfectly every time. They don't do it right every time. But they try to just do the exact same thing. And what they've done in the first periods of the series, if they do that again in this game, they're very likely to win the Stanley Cup at the end of the night. So, they're going to be physical. They're going to be on the forecheck. It's going to be hard. But really, if they're aggressive, Hayes, I guess, if I'm going to say one thing, because occasionally when they've had a big lead in the series, you've seen them get a little bit more passive. And when they get that way, they're just not as good. So if they're able to block out the want to win so badly and just go play and be aggressive and be on your front foot attacking, if they do that, that'll be the best version of their game.
Okay. And Edmonton, needless to say, they're desperate. I guess, I don't know what that looks like for them, though. Like we were discussing McDavid, who you'd have to believe comes out like a rocket tonight. But what does that mean? What does it look like 5-on-5? The lines continue to change. Skinner's in net. Like, what would you expect their mentality and their approach to kind of look like in the first period this evening?
I almost equate it to starting the U.S. Open final round. You're not trying to birdie the first 4 holes. Let's just play even par. Can we find a fairway? Let's find a green, a 2-putt, and let's get going. Because they've been behind the 8 balls the last 4 games. They've given up the first goal, and they're chasing the game. So for the Oilers, can we just play and pass and kind of be even and work our way into the game and eventually take a lead? I think that will be the focus. For McDavid specifically, Hayes, I think he's got to fight the will or the want to try to do it more on his own. Like when he tries to go for the big mad dashes through the neutral zone, he bumps into Barkov, then Forsling, then Ekblad. It's tough. Those guys are great, and it's tough to be effective. He's almost like he has to trust his line mates to help him, and his line mates are a little bit different. He's got Corey Perry back there again tonight. Edmonton's basically going back to their Game 1 lineup. I said it worked in Game 1. We scored first in Game 1. We won Game 1. Let's see if we can't do that again. And then at some point, we talked about this ad nauseum. You need your goalie to be good. Now, you can't will that to happen. You can't ask him to try harder. He's obviously trying his hardest. But you can't have an .870 save percentage tonight at the end of the night from Stu Skinner. It's got to be .915. And if it is, they'll have a decent chance of winning this game.
Yeah, Johnny, if the Florida Panthers did it tonight, how do you think McDavid, how we talk a lot on this show, it's talked a lot through hockey, the media, about the great ones win a cup. Like, how do you think his cup final will be critiqued? Because he's been fantastic leading up to this point.
I think it will not necessarily be critiqued individually, although there may be some question marks about he didn't score a lot of goals. He had his first one last game. He's got a boatload of chances. I think he has 3 posts. So it could easily be a 4-goal final for him, and then you'd say he's going to win the Conn Smythe. But it's a 1-goal final, and they might lose again. So I don't know if he's going to get criticized other than, boy, it would have been nice had he been able to cash in on the chances he created. But, I think that the conversation around him will be another missed opportunity. Mm-hmm. And there is no guarantee. As good as he is.
Yeah,
as good as he is, as good as Draisaitl is, as good as the Oilers are. He may never get to another final. Mm-hmm. It's probably even money whether he gets to even another final. So that's sort of the conversation, because what does that mean? If he doesn't win a cup ever in his career, can he ever be considered one of the greatest of all time? I think individually he has to be. He already has to be. But in his career in its entirety, if he doesn't win, and now he'll be 0 for 2, not his fault. He won a Conn Smythe last year. He could win it again this year in a losing cause. But another missed opportunity to kind of get the last piece of hardware that he'll ever need to be considered the greatest of all time.
Johnny, we were talking earlier about all the different line combinations that Chris Knoblauch puts together, and the Edmonton Oilers have used 25 different line combos in this series. The Florida Panthers have used 8. What should the approach be for Knoblauch and the Oilers tonight, especially early in the game when it comes to how much you juggle the lines?
I mean, I think given that what's happened, Frankie, you don't want to be switching every single time, but like you don't wait long. If you get through 10 minutes of the first period, 3-4 shifts each line, and one guy's not going, Kapanen's not going, or Kane's not going, and Podkolzin is, like, you make moves because that team is comfortable with the idea that they change. The team doesn't react as though the coach is panicking when they make changes because they do it all the time, as you just mentioned, 25 different line combinations in the series. So, I mean, I think it's the contrast of the coaching is really quite interesting, whereas Knoblauch is obviously motivating and inspiring and all that stuff. But he is coaching. Like, he's coaching his butt off, trying to solve these problems with his roster, with his combinations, with his pairings, in game, between games. He's working hard. Whereas Maurice, he wakes up in the morning, he doesn't think about a thing. What Maurice is doing is just sort of like imploring and motivating and energizing his group, but he's not thinking about game plan because he likes his game plan, because his game plan is working. It's amazing how different the challenges for each coach, because Knoblauch is like, he's solving problems on the go all the time. Maurice doesn't have that dilemma. He trusts his group, and he should.
With Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst, ahead of Game 6 Cup Final tonight. Maurice is, he was on fire again this morning. He's got his one-liners, man. His post-game last year was very inspiring. He talked about his from Sault Ste. Marie and his parents and brothers.
Winnipeg Jets, I hope they get one.
Yeah.
He hits all the bases.
Everything. Like, what does he have left for tonight? Like, if they win and he does his, his commentary on the ice with everybody, like what do you think because I would believe he's got new material. He's a comic that's hitting the road and he knows everyone's heard his stuff. What else is coming from Maurice tonight?
He's got to bring something different.
He's got to have some new material. Has to.
He's going to, but what he's got, he's opened up, if they win tonight, he's opened up another entire chapter of potential topics when it comes to history's greatness. And I think that's where he could go, where his group, and he will always defer, not him, but his group will now have to be considered in these sort of all-time great teams. Now, they're not the greatest of all time, but they're in the conversation. And certainly in the last 30 years, 3 finals in a row, 2 wins in a row. That doesn't, 2 wins have happened a couple times, but it doesn't happen very often. 3 finals in a row almost never happens. I think the last time 3 finals was the Islanders, right? So I think he can go down that road. And
Tampa just did 3 finals in a row.
Yeah, the Islanders did 4.
Yeah, Islanders did 5. 5 in a row.
This is 5 when they lost the yeah. So Tampa, one was the bubble. Those were all kind of strange years, but
Right.
so take nothing away. But so the last 40 years, it's happened twice.
Mm-hmm.
So he's in that conversation. Not even the Oilers of the 80s made 3 in a row.
Right.
So, I think he goes down that road, and he wouldn't be wrong to do so.
No, exactly. Exactly. Go ahead, O.
Johnny, all we talk about after this when it ends is like, where's this guy going to go? Where's Bennett going to go? Marchand, Ekblad. What's your mini Jerry that these guys get together and say, guys, we got to try to run it back? Because a three-peat would be insane.
I think Marchand's like an island unto himself. Ekblad and Bennett, they could easily have that conversation, the relationship they'd have. And I think they both are so tied into Florida and know why it's good here for them. They both will probably take less money than they could get otherwise and want to come back for all the obvious reasons. I think Marchand, who's had a good, highly paid career, but he's not been a $10 million guy for 8 years, right? His last deal was what, $36, $38 million, $40 million, or whatever it was. Prior to that, he's probably got $50, $60 million of career earnings, which is a ton. But it wouldn't surprise me if maybe he is slightly more tied into term and to dollars than maybe those other 2 guys might be. So as appealing as that is, and I also would always caution, like, thinking you can chase a cup because you can pick the team that you think is good, that doesn't usually work out the way you think it will. But Marchand's a unique guy because he's newish here, and he probably doesn't have that same sort of city, not loyalty, but just, ties
he wants
to
to
the
cash
market,
in, too.
the other guys. He wants his cash. He wants 4 years and $8 million a year.
He's going to get it.
Florida's like, listen, we could give you 3 and 5 and a good team and good taxes. And he might go like, I think I'll take the 4 and 32 and go to a good team and take my chances there. And no one could blame him.
If you were hedging your bet as far as Bennett or Ekblad, only one of those guys can stay because financially, like, I think the Panthers have about $19 million to spend, and they've got to sign 6 or 7 more guys here. If it's one of those 2 guys, who would you keep? Who would the Panthers keep?
They will effort to keep Bennett. And Ekblad has been surprisingly good in this series. I thought he might have some trouble. He's been good. I just think the Seth Jones acquisition makes Ekblad, unless he really wants to severely discount himself, I think Bennett's the perfect fit. I think he knows that. I think Florida, if they had to choose, and they might have to choose, they'll choose Bennett over Ekblad.
Johnny, do you think if a team says about Marchand, we're going to give you the 4 times 8, and we want you to come into our team regardless of your age and be a first-line player, not a third, that would be a mistake?
Well, I mean, he was a first-line player in Boston, and he was on pace for, 65 points? What did Matthew Nyes get last year? 60? Everybody wants to throw $80 million at him. And that's not to diminish Nyes. I'm like, a first-line player can get you 65 points, and that might be worth it. So he might be ideally suited, though, in a support role as opposed to the guy driving. If you ask him to play on your first line and be the best player on your first line, that's not good. That won't work. Yeah. But if you ask him to be a support player, a smart player, a complementary player who can produce, 0.8 points per game over the course of the year, I think you won't be disappointed. Whatever role he plays in, he'll probably be able to do that because he's smart enough and he's still got the legs as he's showing. But that you have to, temper your expectations. You're not getting 90 or 100 points out of him anymore, no matter who he's playing with. And if you can ask him to get you 65 on the second line and wait for the playoffs, then you have a good team and you'll probably get the best version of Marchand.
Johnny, what's your read on watching Sasha Barkov in person in this series? Because, I think you go around the league, you talk about what do you need to have playoff success. Your number one center is going to have to be a big contributor offensively. And it seems like for the Florida Panthers, it's like they've kind of just asked him to check as well as he can, which no forward can do it better than him. And they've filled in the pieces offensively around him. Third line's been great. Bennett's been great. Like, what do you see out of Sasha Barkov's game that maybe you think there might be more offense, or he's just doing what he's doing and they're perfectly okay with that and they're going to win the Stanley Cup as it is?
Well, both are probably true. They probably are going to win the Stanley Cup with him checking. And he's like a Datsuk or a Zetterberg where, he doesn't ever deviate from the defense to go get offense, even though he probably could. He's still their most talented offensive player. He has been quiet, though. He just hasn't had as many touches. But I think Frankie, he's so concerned with being above the puck. You watch him, even in the offensive zone when they have the puck, you can almost see like the angel and the devil on his shoulders, and the devil's like, let's get to the net, and the angel's like, don't even think about it. You better stay above the puck because here comes 97 and you can't catch him. And the angel wins, and he's always in the right spot. So he will keep doing the same thing, and it's a unique challenge to play against Connor McDavid in the playoffs. But his numbers are still, he's basically a point-a-game player in the playoffs. It's not like he has 5 points. He's got 18 or something like that. So he's been fine, and the Panthers could not care less about no goals in the final. They only care about one more win.
Well, we'll see if it comes tonight, Johnny. For your sake, I hope it does. And if it doesn't, enjoy Edmonton for the next couple of days.
The next week.
The next week, yeah, exactly. It'll feel that way anyway.
If I'm doing our next chat on the eve of Game 7 in Edmonton, I may be slightly disgruntled.
Okay. Well, we'll see what comes of it, man. I'm pulling for Game 7 personally, but I'm in Toronto.
Sure, you're watching on your couch.
I'm dying for a Game 7. Yeah, I love
comfort of your home.
Absolutely.
No, this guy's down
As
there
hockey
in Del
fans,
Boca
it
Vista.
gets lonely. It gets lonely when the game disappears for more than 3 days. You're like, there's no game. And then some guy will tweet out, 60 days till hockey's back.
Yeah.
No, that's when your wife says, hey, we should watch this new show tonight. And you're like, if there was a game
Love Island is on tonight.
Love Island is on tonight.
No, we need Game 7, man. We need it. All right, Johnny, enjoy yourself down there.
Boys, cheers.
Mike Johnson, our TSN hockey analyst. Yeah, I mean, all hell's going to break loose pretty quickly in the league, though. Like, let's say Florida wins tonight. They're a team of interest, clearly. What do they do? Like, I actually think it'd be kind of cooler if Marchand left and the myth, like, this legend of South Beach where this guy shows up for 3 months, wins a cup, maybe a Conn Smythe, and gets out of there.
They can't afford him. He's going to make so much more money going elsewhere. Like, there's no way he can justify taking that big of a discount to a place where he doesn't really have roots.
Exactly.
You went there, you did it. You conquered it.
Yeah.
You'll go cash in for one more big one because he was underpaid on his last deal.
But I don't think he'll go to a junk team. I don't think he'll go to a junk team.
Team that needs DNA changing.
You think the Leafs are just a lock for him if he's let's say he whittles his list down to 6 competitive teams, quote unquote, and he goes to all 6 of them and goes, no, but that's the truth. Like you said, he's going to go to a winning team, whoever that is. I don't know.
Competitive team. 6
competitive teams, and none of them are Boston because I guess that ship would have had to have sailed by now. And he goes, just pay me the most. I think the Leafs would just say, fine, if you're telling me you're willing to come, we'll pay you the most.
I would bet that it's in the 8s. Starts with an 8.
Man, that's basically going to be like it's almost Marner's money's just going to Marchand. Not quite.
You could do
not if it's like, let's say it's 8.5, it's almost Marner's deal.
Yeah,
it's just going to Brad Marchand.
You could do like Marchand in the 8s, Mangiapane in the 4s, and there's your 2 players at 12 million, 13 million that you're essentially replacing Marner with.
All of them smaller guys. Now Marchand does not play small.
He doesn't play small. Yeah. Mangiapane doesn't play small. I just threw that name out there because I was like, I wonder if Tree would be.
That's the number. And he was in Calgary. With
he's like a $4 million player. Familiarity with Calgary. I was doing the board today with Dryden
about how the Leaf numbers could look, or just players.
No, so the Marner number, right? Like we have to have like a projection as far as his AAV goes, and we have to have it on the board. And it's like you hear people say 14 million. I'm like, we can't put 14 million on the board. Because what if it comes in at like 12?
Yeah.
But then it's like, okay, it's a good conversation because what do we actually put on the board as a projection for Mitch Marner? Like in your heart of hearts, if you had to write that board,
I'd probably say 12.5 to 13 million. Like something like that.
Wow. This is going to put the Brad Richards, like I get it. He's a fantastic player. He's a high-profile guy. He's a Maple Leaf. He's not returning. This is going to put Gino Reda outside of Donnie Meehan's office looking for Brad Richards information to shame.
Yeah. Well,
shame.
And Dregs was on First Up this morning saying he thinks it could play out over time. Like it's not a July 1st.
Why?
Well, I think that's the right thing to do for him.
For Marner?
Yeah.
How could that possibly be? You think you're going to drum up more interest?
No. Because if he signs July 1st at 12:01, it looks like you couldn't wait to leave Toronto. Like, they weren't even in the conversation. You had your mind made up a month ago. At least if you drag it out a couple weeks, it's like, yeah, we were meddling, we were circling back.
Give
we
it
were
a
doing all
rest,
these
Frankie.
things.
That's nonsense talk.
Oh, I know, but
break
it's
with
like
that?
it's an optics
What is
PR
this?
thing.
Kindergarten? I can't believe you said that. That's stupidity. Like,
No, listen,
you want to go to
you
a
understand
team.
what I'm saying?
I understand what you're saying, but I don't think it matters in Toronto anymore. Like, I think Mitch Marner being concerned about how people in Toronto feel, that ship has sailed.
The guy's an unrestricted free agent. Like, what are people mad about or pissed off about?
Exactly.
The guy played here for a long time. He was a great player. He's a UFA. He's going to sign somewhere else. You have no right. Like, you don't like that he shunned the trade request. Tough. That's in his contract.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, I don't know. People are nuts, man.
I don't think my impression of why he would take his time is not because of Toronto. It would just be, him loving the spotlight of it. Like, the whole league is going to be focused on Mitch Marner. Like, that's all it's going to be.
It's going to hold things up, though.
Yes.
There's
well, that's
so many teams waiting on Marner, and then they're not going to make decisions on other guys.
That's what will be intriguing, is how much of it is actually true and how much of it is the team knows you got to wait for whatever reason. Also could be about moving money. Like, let's say it's Vegas, and a lot of people are linking him to Vegas. Vegas may tell him, like, we're signing you, this is the number, but you got to wait because we got to move people before we can sign you.
Yeah.
Like, you can only go 10% over the cap in the offseason, where on July 1st they might not be able to do that. It might take them a little bit of time to move off a player or two and, reshape their team to basically open up the opportunity for them to sign Marner. But, yeah, I mean, there could be a lot of different things in play. But, Dreg said it. Like, there's a chance this thing plays out for a while. Like, he's going to do tours and he's going to go to different places. And if that happens, it's going to be a circus everywhere he goes.
It is. It is.
Like, and the market that'll be focused on it more than any of the other markets that he's going to see? Toronto.
Yes.
Like, it'll be, okay, today's in Vegas, tomorrow he's in Anaheim, the next day he's in Columbus, and people in Toronto are going to be following it. The people down there, the media will be like, sorry, what are we doing?
Let me edit my tweet.
There'll be a Marner chopper.
In Toronto, though, like down there following him.
I'm going to edit my tweet. I don't think 2 weeks, maybe a couple days. Wait a couple days to make the decision so it doesn't look like you scurried up.
And it's a big life decision.
Don't slow play it for 2 weeks.
Yes, he has the right to do that,
Can I do that? Is that allowed?
There you go.
It's crazy.
Still blocked
it's crazy. It's tunnel vision thinking
junk.
like Hayes.
He blocked and reported junk.
Tunnel vision thinking. This guy's he's an owl. Do you realize that?
I just don't understand the train of thought to think that, if he signs in 2 weeks or he waits, if he signs right away, he's scurried out of town. He's already announced that he's leaving. What the hell does it matter when he does it?
He technically hasn't announced anything, but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Tunnel vision. All right, we'll come back with more on this.
Both
Noodles coming up, confirm or deny. The Owls with us all afternoon. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
sweat the technique. Don't sweat the technique.
All right, confirm and deny in about 10 minutes. Noodles coming up. He's down in Florida, ahead of Game 6 tonight. And, yeah, we got the Jays in action tonight. We got the Travelers coming up. You guys see the groupings are out because it's one of these elevated events. There's only 2 guys that go out at a time. And they have Scotty Scheffler, I believe, playing with J.J. Spawn, which is interesting. J.J. Spawn getting the Scotty Scheffler treatment. But at 10:35 a.m. Eastern time on Thursday, Rory McIlroy and Keegan Bradley going out. So the presumed face of the Ryder Cup with the captain of the American Ryder Cup. That'll be an interesting crowd, man. And they love Keegan. Like, he's a New England guy, right?
Past champion.
And he's won at the Travelers before. And Rory, I mean, does he intend on sticking around for 4 days? Does he want to be there?
I think it's an elevated event. He has to.
Yeah, I believe so. There might be one of those, top 50 cuts or something like that. Although they might only do that with like 3 or 4 of them. It may be a scenario where you actually have to play 4 rounds. Isn't that amazing that, like, it's actually a debate whether or not McIlroy even wants to play? Like, does he want to play the 4 rounds, or would he prefer to just go home?
Judging by the body language and what he said recently, he probably wants to just get out.
I'm almost surprised he didn't pull the shoot. Just said, forget it, I'm out of here.
Like, I'll see you guys in a month. I'll see you at the British.
Exactly, I'm out of here. I'll see you at the Scottish and the British. That's when I'll see you next. All right, Confirm coming up, Noodles coming up, OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, Frankie Corrado. Noodles coming up from the Cup Final later in the hour. We'll get to some confirm or deny in just a moment. We're talking about hobbies, and once you have them and you become obsessed with them, the more you do it, the more you want to get out there and be active. I just saw our boy Luke Wilson posting pictures because he's a big cycler, right? He's a cyclist. And I almost ran him over the other day because he cycles out by me, lives out by me. Yes. So I'm on my way home, back streets, backwoods. You guys know where I live. And I see this monster on a bike with a mustache downhill.
It's Shrek on a bike.
It's Shrek on a bike. And this guy's going 90 down this hill, coming towards a four-way stop. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, this guy's not going to stop. I know what's coming here. He's going to expect me to stop. So I do the little pull out without the complete turn. And as he gets closer, I thought it was him. I'm like, and I knew it was him. So then I started laying on the horn, and then he stopped eventually, and we had a little stop and chat. Now he just posted on Instagram. He's out there with people, and they're taking videos of him. Like he's got a video team biking around Durham region with his cycling crew. And I'm
you
like,
want
what's
to go
this
to
guy
the
up
Swiss
to, man?
Alps or something? That's video worthy.
Yeah.
Durham region.
The ninth line.
Sorry,
The
dude.
ninth line is not exactly riding through, the streets of Paris. It's the guy's got a video crew. He's either crushing it on the CFL on TSN, which has been unbelievable. Lukey's blowing the whole scene up.
It's unreal what's going on out
the
there.
Sidelines, breaking down game tape. He's got unbelievable access. He's just doing a remarkable job. Or he's cycling with a camera crew. That's what's happening with Luke Wilson right now.
It's a lot when you got like all the bodies already. Like these guys ride in packs, right? They'll ride in like packs of 12. That's enough as it is. But then you add the camera crew there. It's a lot of commotion.
It's a lot of commotion, man. People are just trying to get
up
through
a whole lane.
Yeah, it's like I'm just trying to get home,
People
man.
got appointments.
Yeah.
I have trouble wrapping my head around it. Like, I love everything about golf. I like the smell of the grass, the morning dew, chipping balls, practicing range balls, first tee, like making. I don't get the excitement someone would get from waking up and getting on a bike.
I don't either. There is nothing I could find less appealing.
Like, I have to get up before I golf and I have to work out, but that doesn't fire me up.
Right.
That's like something I got to do.
Right. It's mandatory for, like, in order for your health and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
This is, like, legitimately just a lifestyle.
This excites him.
Absolutely.
I got buddies that are big cyclists, and it's been painful being around them at times because all they do is talk about this app. I guess there's an app where you track all your rides, and it's like a news feed, and you see all your friends' rides that you follow. It's kind of like us with the Golf Canada app, which
see what people score.
You're on there all the time. You want to see what Duthie shot. You want to see what AK shot, whatever, right? But that's like being around them. It's like that's all they talk about, and then they're talking about different routes that they can take. And they're talking about this person did
Tires,
this time, and they got the
kinds.
$10,000 bike, and I'm like, I go somewhere else in my mind, man.
What kind of scratch are we talking to be
10
like?
G's.
Really? To get really into the bike game?
Oh, you're 10 G's for the bike.
I would have never thought that.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as that guy in the bike shop gets any kind of whiff that you're really into it, it just goes way up.
Yeah, he's bringing out the Italian bike, the Bianchi.
Something in the back for you to see.
Yeah, and
you're not getting a $250 Cannondale. You're getting the Italian one.
It is amazing though how like the saying "you get what you pay for" applies to bikes. Like I remember when COVID hit, that was a big scramble, right? I'm like, we all got to get bikes because we got to get outside and do stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, I got to get my kids 2 bikes. I got a bike. My wife got a bike. And, you know, I went into Canadian Tire or whatever, and it was like, you know, there was nothing left, basically, because everyone was doing the same thing. Like, we got to get bikes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do you have for me? And the guy's like, I got one in the back. I don't know. Like, he basically looked at me and said, "Are you sure?" I said, "I'll take it. Give it to me." And I think I got 5 rides in, and the wheels just exploded. I don't think I've touched it in 4 years. And it's still in my garage. But I probably paid $200, and it's an absolute piece of garbage.
You want to talk about a Cannondale? I had a yellow Cannondale mountain bike. And right at the height of my monster mode, I sat on that thing. And you want to talk about a flex of like the rear and the front wheel, like the what are they called? The things that hold down the wheels,
like the shocks,
whatever, the shocks that are holding this thing bent and flattened almost. And I was so disgusted. I went in the front yard and I grabbed it by the front tire and I tomahawked it at the end of the driveway and I said, "That's free to somebody.
Yeah,
Take
get
it."
rid of it. The axle. That's what Doogie's calling it. The axle.
The rear and the front axle flexed and was rubbing along the pavement, dude.
I know what you listen, man. You talk about in your prime. When I was Griff, my wife and I, we went over to Amsterdam, big bike town. Rented bikes, did the whole biking tour.
No way, man.
And you want to be a fish out of water. Like, Europeans, generally, they're so in shape. And in Amsterdam, everyone's riding a bike and everyone looks amazing. And I get over there and I'm on this bike trying to motor through canals. I could feel people looking at me being like, that guy's...
But dude,
I think they thought I was an American.
Well,
I
they
bought
always
this bike.
say we're
like, there's
I
an
bought my
Americano.
Cannondale when I lived in Guelph, and me and Todd Bertuzzi would go on legit mountain bikes. And this bike was the perfect size. I got on this thing as a monster. It felt like a little... I'm like, how did this become a little kid's bike?
The bike didn't change.
No,
you
the
changed.
bike did not change.
Are you going to get a
did
new
not
bike
change.
now? Are you in the
I
market?
got one in Collingwood, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
There you go.
What, like
Gotta
a
get a
Luke
new bike.
like a road bike with the
You don't want one of
clip in?
It's a mountain
tight
bike.
suit. That's the other thing. You got to wear that tight spandex.
Well, that's the thing. This guy, his outfit was, you know what he's rocking. Like, he's dialed in with the helmet's probably $1,200.
Here's what I don't understand about this whole thing. These guys riding these packs and they have sponsors on their gitch.
That's right.
Why would anyone want to sponsor you riding your bike on the side of the road?
They're buying that from the guy
don't get
that rips them off. He's like, "Do you have any fake sponsors?"
Like, I got buddies. They got like the Lavazza coffee on their. I'm like,
Yeah, why
does
exactly?
Lavazza Coffee
Are you in the
care
Tour
that
de
you're
France?
on the road
They're not
riding your bike?
sponsoring these guys.
Exactly.
They're going for 45 minutes along Lakeshore, then back home to have bacon and eggs. No one is sponsoring that.
All right. Noodles coming up later in the hour. Confirm or deny? All right, so some news.
I can neither confirm or deny that this is in fact a segment.
Austin trades Andrew Raycroft to Toronto in exchange for the rights to Tuukka Rask.
It's been my honor and a privilege to serve as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs Hockey Club.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, so the Jays back in action tonight. Some news for the Jays. Max Scherzer is going to make another start with the Bisons, and then if all goes well there, it looks like by next week he could rejoin the rotation. So tomorrow they have not announced a starter, but they're in a bit of a holding pattern right now, trying to figure out how they're going to work out this 5-man rotation. Bowden Francis on the IL today. It doesn't even matter what they're labeling the injury. This is a classic. You need a reset. You need to get away from this team for a while. You're going on the IL. So that happened. And with that in mind, let's begin confirm or deny. All right, confirm or deny. Max Scherzer will start more games for the Blue Jays the rest of this season than Bowden Francis.
It's a tight race, but I'm gonna deny it because I just got a feeling Scherzer is going to have one more kind of... Is he scheduled to start anytime soon?
Yeah, he's going to be with the Bisons later this week in the next few days, and then probably next week he's back with the Jays.
I just envisioned some kind of setback coming up where it was like Bison start, tried it, flared up, and now I got a problem, and he just disappears into the sunset. Where Bowden Francis, excuse me, I could see him going down there to kind of find his game or something.
Yeah,
or whatever they're going to do with him. He's just going to sit on the sideline to try to find his game.
Yeah.
I can see that happening over Scherzer's health. There's nothing about his health that I trust.
It feels pessimistic. I'll deny it as well. Because remember when Manoah Manoah went down. He had to work on his game, and he was at, like, Dunedin. He was way down there. And all of a sudden, he was back, and he was playing. Like, I don't think this stint where you get sent down generally lasts that long. Like, I feel like they're going to have a plan for him to come up, and there's probably a likelihood that Scherzer, even if he is on a pitch count, he might not be able to stay fully healthy. I think that's probably the way it could go.
Yeah, I'm going to I'm going to confirm this because I'm going to follow the money on this one. Where Scherzer, they're paying him a lot of money, and if Scherzer can pitch, he's pitching for the Blue Jays. Like, that's happening. There's not going to be a scenario where they're like, you're out of here. I guess it's possible if he got healthy and they struggled, they'd trade him. You know, that was always a possibility. But now they're 5 games over 500. The American League's wide open. They're in it. They need help. They need depth in the rotation. My concern with Francis is, you know, he's on the IL right now. Maybe when he returns, they send him down for a rehab stint or two, and I think that's probably part of the plan to build him back up. He may just not find it. Like, his numbers are so bloated that they just may not be able to pitch him. Where if Scherzer is healthy, they're pitching him. He's going to pitch. They're paying him $15 million. He's Max Scherzer. They're going to trust him. They're going to put him out there. I don't have a lot of faith in either guy right now. I don't think either guy really deserves a lot of faith. I mean, Scherzer's been injured for the better part of 3 or 4 years now. He's pitched 3 innings or whatever it's been for the Jays this year. Francis is a mess, giving up more home runs than anybody else in the league. Like, it's a real problem. But I'm going to lean towards Scherzer because they're paying him so much money. And if he's healthy, he's playing.
What if he's somewhat healthy? What's a realistic amount of starts he could have at this point?
He could probably still give them. I mean, they have more than half their games left. He could get 14 starts.
Yeah.
You know, like, is that reasonable? Probably not. But can he get 10? Like, 10 more starts, I think, beats Bowden Francis. Okay. Like, I don't think Francis will start 10 more. Confirm or deny, Calvin Pickard and Stuart Skinner will be the tandem in Edmonton again next season.
Absolutely. Like, mini Jerry on top of confirm or deny, 100% no way, 0. I wouldn't be shocked if it's a Colorado flip. That's where you have to go with that. Like, you have to kind of wash your hands with almost both of them. I have no idea, and I should have it, what their contract statuses are. But
Skinner's got 1 more year.
Okay. You're talking back-to-back cups, and you can talk about his performance this playoff, Stuart Skinner, how he had that remarkable run where he came back after the adversity in the LA Kings and then other adversity. But if you guys remember back to last year, and people say he didn't cost them the last game in Game 7, it was a brutal goal that won the cup.
The Reinhardt goal. It was just a shot down
Short
the wing.
side.
It was a wrist shot just inside the blue line at the top of the dots that had no mustard on it. It was what I call a warm-up shot, where you skate down the wing, your wrist went on net, and it went in. So you compound that with what's happened this year. I don't think it would be difficult. Like, those guys in the locker room, you talk about sitting around looking at your roster saying, oh, we're going to go back at it with those guys? No way. Yeah. I don't think you can do that to the team.
It's an easy deny. And the thing about Stuart Skinner's money for next year, it's $2.6 million. That's what you would pay a backup in the NHL, like a decent backup, Varlamov, like, I don't know, Jake Allen, these kinds of guys. That's right in the wheelhouse for them. So you can justify Stuart Skinner being your backup. You're going to have to make a trade because you can't sign a goalie on the UFA market who's going to be your starter. But you can afford to go out and spend a decent amount of money if you acquire someone via trade. I just can't see how they would bring both these guys back again. They have to upgrade that position.
It is wild that this tandem has been there for 2 straight Cup finals, and yet it's basically a consensus. And again, they could still win. Let's point that out.
They could win.
Last if they evening, we were talking about who might start.
I know that, and they're going with Skinner, and for I guess they're just hopeful. And their numbers have been terrible. The 2 of them in the playoffs, like based on save percentage alone, the numbers are abysmal. And Skinner has basically put that forward. Every time he plays a team that isn't named the Dallas Stars, he struggles. Stars, for whatever reason, he has their number. He's phenomenal, and he's been that way 2 years in a row. But what if they win tonight and win Game 7? Then doesn't it offer up the opportunity that they bring both back?
If they win Game 7 next week for confirm or deny, you ask it again.
Okay.
That's all I can.
Yeah.
That's all I can get.
I hear you. I mean,
but if they won,
I still wouldn't go back with it.
That is
because I don't want to take the chances
question.
Again next year.
Yeah, I think I'm going to deny it as well. I think feels like Skinner's going to return just because he's got a year left. They're going to him again for Game 6.
Yeah,
and
but
he's 26.
You really want
guy.
to bring him back into the locker room if they don't win. Because he's like, you bring in another guy who's basically you're bringing in to play more games than Skinner, and he's going to be like, "Oh, I brought you to 2 Cup Finals, and this is the treat." It's just a bad idea. Man.
I would say I don't know if he thinks he brought them to the Cup Final 2 years in a row, like he's probably mistaken. You know?
Okay,
what I mean?
Well, that was the wrong wording. He was on the team, and the team went to the finals 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I mean, listen, he's 26 now. If in 3-4 years he's not the starter, like a legit starter, then you have your answer. But I don't know. It feels like he would still be around just based on his age.
All right, confirm and deny. Rory McIlroy will finish top 10 at the British Open.
Man, this is a tough confirm, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to confirm that he top 10s it. I think if anything can get his juices flowing, it's the Open Championship in his homeland.
Mm-hmm.
Shane Lowry's one of his best friends. He won it the last time it was there. I think this is the only thing that might get his juices flowing, which is scary because after that, what the hell does get his juices flowing in the coming events?
I don't know.
Like next year in Hawaii, what the hell kind of vibe he's got? Where Tiger Woods, who did way more winning, wanted to just crush everyone in Hawaii at the Tournament of Champions.
He doesn't even play that tournament.
No, he bails out on that one every year.
Yeah, he goes to wherever he goes. He's playing on the DP World Tour.
Yeah, he plays in Dubai.
Yeah, he plays in Dubai.
Tournament's in Dubai.
That's right. He goes to Dubai instead of Hawaii.
Big appearance fees.
Yeah, well, that's exactly.
I'm gonna deny this just because I feel like this is not something where he's just gonna flip a switch. Like it might just be he needs some significant time away, and until he gets that, like his game's not gonna just turn into the Rory that won the Masters.
That's the concern, and that's why I'll deny it. It's not just the attitude and all that. The guy stinks at golf right now. Like, relatively speaking, he shot a 78 at TPC Toronto. 78 for McIlroy is a wild score.
Yeah.
He barely made the cut this weekend. He played well on Sunday, played pretty well on Sunday. But I don't know. It seems... he put everything into the Masters and then everything beyond that. Like, that's maybe when he snaps out of it. He gets back to Augusta next year.
I understand the fatigue factor, Hayes, but he looks like he's got other stuff going on.
Yes,
but very possibly.
Fatigue factor can't make you look like I'm a mess right now, because that's what he looks like.
Yes, and it's almost, I don't know, it's like a Mickelson vibe. It's like, what's up with this cat? Yeah. Like Is that what it is? Dude, he got the Grand Slam and he's going to live?
He's smashing tee boxes like aggressively. Like, guys, you'll throw a club every once in a while. Like, he had multiple club throws plus a smashed tee box. That's not just I can't play well right now. There's got to be something.
Now, this one you would think, again, at Portrush, basically his hometown, like this would be the one you got to get. And top 10ing it, like you would think coming off Augusta, you're like, this guy's going to win it. Forget top 10. But I'm going to deny it based on what I've seen out of him the last month and a half.
My buddy Bert just texted me and said, I remember your yellow mountain bike. Don Bertuzzi remembers the yellow mountain bike.
The two of you used to do damage in the foothills of Guelph.
Yeah, we did. Like, we would go just nuts for an hour straight.
Any mountain? Like there's no mountains
early in
Ontario.
the year, like when the weather was okay still?
No, it was we would lift, and then we would just get on that mountain bike and go, like, nuts for an hour straight, up through hilly areas, like bike trails. It was fun. But then I got in that bike 20 years later, 30 years later, and it
just
almost blew up apart. It almost blew apart.
Dude, the axle.
I got a text from one of my buddies there. He says his bike costs more than his car.
Then he's a
How do you justify that?
He said, he goes, my bike retails for almost $18,000. It costs more than my car right now.
Yeah. So if you were to put it on a marketplace.
No, like retail price brand new.
Oh, I see. Okay.
18 G's retail brand new. That's worth more than his car if he were to sell his car right now.
That is crazy to me. I mean, I guess I've done crazy things. I've spent money in ways that people would say, how could you possibly justify that? But a bike?
A bike being more than your car is absurd.
Yeah.
Completely absurd.
Like, that's completely backwards.
And that's not the shoes, helmet, Gitch,
right.
Speedo.
Well, and apparently the app is the Strava app, is the bike app that everyone's on.
Yeah.
You have to be on Strava. All right, confirm or deny. The state of Florida will be in the Cup Final again next year. So Tampa or the Panthers? One of them's going back.
I have to confirm it, man. I have to confirm it. It seems like and for me, it's the Panthers. I just don't know. They seem to have found a recipe how to get through the regular season and then bring it come playoff time. How they get through 82 games and have enough points to qualify for the playoffs, I'm not sure, but they're gonna do it.
It's actually crazy because if you look at the teams that were in the playoffs this year in the East, Toronto, Tampa, Florida, Washington, Carolina, New Jersey, Ottawa, Montreal. Who's got a better chance than two of those Florida teams? It's kind of it feels
Florida's
like it is
going to be the best team.
Like one of those Florida teams. And if Tampa gets aggressive in the offseason, keep in mind Nikita Kucherov's still the best player. He's still one of the best players in the league, Nikita Kucherov. I guess I'll confirm it just based on my inability to believe that any of those other teams will get to the final.
Yeah, but as good as Tampa is, as you described them, Frankie, Florida absolutely smacked them right in the teeth.
Yeah.
Like they gave them the business. They had no chance. That was over in 3.
Yeah, that was a quick series. And I don't know, the war of attrition, I guess, is what makes me doubt that Florida can do it a 4th straight year.
Dude, if the wheels completely didn't fall off this year, what the hell's saying they would
and that's the
next
amazing thing. Like comparing this Florida run to the Tampa run, by the time that Tampa got to the Cup Final the 3rd year, they were done. It's over. Finished. Vegas just basically smacked them around and beat them in 5 and said, get out of the way. Florida is stronger today than they ever have been in 3 years. Like they're not getting tired. I guess my thought would be, what if Bob finally has an injury next year? It's like, all right, everything's different. Bob's not around. Like that's the glue too. The goaltender is always the glue guy.
Well, who's Tampa got in that?
Yeah, they got Vasilevsky,
right?
Totally, and he had a bounce back year this year. It was great.
I mean, none of the teams in the Metro would scare me if I'm a Florida team.
That's the crazy thing. It's like
teams,
Carolina,
New Jersey.
Washington, maybe the second year with Carberry, and they had a lot of growth, and they got young players. I don't know. Maybe. Like, I don't think so, but possibly. The Leafs, the Leafs don't deserve it right now. They don't deserve to have the reputation of a team that can show up.
We can't say the Leafs are going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. No one would scare me if I'm a Florida team in the East. And the teams that miss the playoffs, no chance. The Rangers aren't all of a sudden turning things around, going to a Stanley Cup Final. I'm sorry.
No, I agree. Yeah, no one missed it. That is, like, Boston's not going to swing back into it to the point where they're that formidable, I don't think.
You hear what the Panthers are doing a lot of? Pool circuits. They get off the bird, and they go do a pool circuit, and then they go on the ice.
So they're swimming.
Yeah, they're utilizing the pool.
Okay.
A lot of pool circuits.
Good for them.
There.
Good for them.
Yeah.
All right, final one here. Confirm or deny. Connor Hellebuck is a lock to be USA's starting goalie at the Olympic Games.
As of right now, yes. Who's his competition? Jake Ottinger?
Ottinger, Swayman, Demko.
Yeah, got to believe it.
I mean, why didn't? But they didn't announce Ottinger or Hellebuck yesterday as one of their 6 guys. The guy, he just won the Hart Trophy, and they put Brady Tkachuk in over
starter. I'll confirm he'll be their starter. I don't know if they're going to him and haw over one goal, or I don't know. Maybe they're hemming and hawing over his overall playoff performance.
That's, I think, the concern. I mean, listen, we didn't mention it yesterday, but it was worthy of being brought up. Like, they didn't name him as one of the 6 players on the team. The guy just won the Hart in net. And
how many teams, though, had a goalie in their top 6? Canada didn't.
Canada did not. Not many of them. Like, there were a lot of the old. I don't know if Sweden did. I know, like, Finland did. I think UC Soros was on it. I think teams like Czechia and France.
I'm going to confirm
like
it because he's going to be dynamite in the first half of the season, and they're going to say that's our starting goalie.
Yeah, I'll confirm it as well, because if you don't have belief in Hellebuck, then you shouldn't have more belief in Ottinger or Swayman at this point. Mm-hmm. Those guys didn't have years or playoff runs that would suggest that, like, this guy is an absolute ace in the hole and he's got to be the starter. I think it's up for grabs. And if Hellebuck plays the way he did in the regular season again next year, it's probably his job.
Yeah, again. I confirm it there. But I was expecting he would be one of the 6. I get that they have so many great players. And, Matthews was going to be on it. Eichel was going to be on it. They put the Tkachuk brothers. Like, I would say Brady Tkachuk and Charlie McAvoy would be the two that might be removed for Connor Hellebuck. The other guys, Quinn Hughes is going to be named clearly. All these guys are going to be on the team. I don't know. He's your starting goalie. He just won the Hart and the Vezina, and he's not one of the 6 guys.
This whole naming the 6 players thing I thought was a little overblown. Like, there's so many guys that are locks to be on this team. You name 6, you could probably name 4 other guys in the 5 and 6 spot and be perfectly comfortable with
sure you could. For sure you could. All right, there you go. Confirm or deny. Keegan Matheson in an hour on Jay's Diamondbacks tonight. Rick Bowness coming up this afternoon. Noodles would join us from Florida. His take on that, Connor Hellebuck, and also, of course, Game 6 of the Cup Final, where he's going to be in the house. The Hot Zone coming up post-game on YouTube and, of course, up on SportsCenter on TSN tonight. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Just keep it safe with me. Anything you say will always stay with me. No matter what it is, it wouldn't make me leave. Make me leave. Oh no. Just keep it safe with me.
All right, Noodles coming up here in a moment. Live from Florida. He's an alumnus. If they win tonight, he might get a ring. Could get an alumni ring tonight. Possible.
Frankie, don't you think it would be cool if they there was an alumni ring available? Like, would you buy one if it was $30,000?
No, not for.
Would you buy a bike for $30,000?
No,
a cyclist.
I don't know, I guess I wouldn't wear it.
Like it was small and you could just wear it out, wear it to functions on TV.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't buy it though if they were just like, hey, if you're an alumni, we'll send you something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I wouldn't buy it.
Noodles would be sniffing around tonight.
I wouldn't.
He'll
buy
buy
it.
one from Florida.
100%. He won't tell us, but he definitely
and what he didn't
will.
tell us is he has a Blues one too.
I know he does.
Does he? Yeah.
Someone told me that.
I bet Noodles went to a greasy little barbecue joint today down in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Little place. He tried to take us there last year, and it was closed because it was a Monday. And today, Tuesday.
Oh, then it's alive and well. It's all good. Here he is, live from the Cup Final. Jamie Noodles McLennan. Oh, FaceTime. I wasn't aware this was a possibility. What's going on, Noodles?
What's up?
What's
How
up?
we doing? Am I too close to the camera? Like my mom, who's 80, like, hey, guys, what's going on?
I love it. Is Philip Pritchard there yet? Where's Pritchard at?
He's caught in a flood in Chicago still. I haven't heard from him. But
right.
Honestly,
Jerry's head
I
will
heard
pop
you guys.
off.
I heard you guys chirping about, no, I don't have a St. Louis ring. I don't even. Why would you want a ring? And you say a small little replica, and then you go, hey, you got a Stanley Cup ring. What did you do to get it? Nothing. I played for the team 20 years ago. What does that mean? It's nothing. Like,
well,
there's
you're
no
an
chance
alumni.
of me getting a ring.
You're an
Yes,
alumni.
I am an alumni.
One of your teams is in action tonight. Do you get the full alumni treatment during the Cup Final, or how does this work?
So one of the scribes was teasing with me because apparently, they have a different person bang the drum. And there was a rumor going around that me and Luongo were going to bang the drum tonight.
Nice.
I will not be banging the drum tonight. I'm sorry. For me, it's embarrassing. Like, why wouldn't they get Taylor Swift or something to bang the drum?
Right. Well, that would be interesting. Is she going to be back there tonight? Is that the plan?
I've heard
there's rumors
that. I've heard that
it.
her and I've heard her and Kelsey are supposed to be here again. But again, I don't know, and it's not. That's not insider information. I read that online. They're supposed to be here. So
they should get Kelsey to do it in those weird shorts that were showing a little too much. Do you see those things?
Well, his whole style, ever since he's been with her, now he's like this Upper East Side, like swanky. Because remember, this guy used to wear like baggy clothes and chains.
Dude, he was wearing the shorts from the episode of Friends where the guy's putting his leg up on the yes, thank you. Yes, his testicles were
ridiculous. He was like a bus driver sitting there, and it was ridiculous. And the camera was going right up his shorts. I'm like, what is going on here? It was absolutely. Yeah. I felt like Ace Ventura. Was it Ace? Was it Ace Ventura 2 where he goes up, excuse me, your balls are showing, and he's like
I'm honestly surprised with that humidity there. We didn't see more.
Shorts are everywhere there.
No,
too.
not the shorts. Like his shorts specifically with that kind of humidity. Like, you ever been in a sauna?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Okay, so that's possible tonight. I mean, I'm sure if he shows up, he'll be in more ridiculous gear. Like, he may be no shirt tonight because it's so hot down there, but. Anyway, we do have a game. I can't imagine what the ice is going to look like this evening or how it's going to play. But Skinner's getting a start. How do you feel about that, Noodles? Is that the right play in your opinion?
I thought it was going to be Pickard. To be honest, the other night I kind of said, you come back with the guy. We had chatted about it earlier, Brian, and even in our group chat, it's like when Pickard came in and got the win, it's like, that's it. That's curtains for Skinner. And then I didn't think the loss was at Pickard's feet. Game 5, I thought the whole team was out to lunch, had a couple good chances early on. And then everybody, Florida played a master class. But I can understand the reasoning. This is their guy. He's been their guy 2 years in a row. And, with his back up against the wall, he's played pretty well. And I will say, in game 4 where they came back, he had a good start. Like they had the high danger chances were 13-1. And he got hung out to dry. And, they ended up pulling him for momentum. But this is, wouldn't you say this is the most important game of his career? And really a career as an Edmonton Oiler as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Because, if they lose tonight, we're going to circle the goaltender and say, these guys are what? Oh, you had that stat earlier. Like that, aren't they like 140th in save percentage, since like 2004 or something ridiculous. Like, they're both in the high 80s, 88 or something. You get 9 out of 10, the series might look a little different, but it's certainly the biggest game of Stuart Skinner's career. There's no doubt about that.
Well, what is he saying to himself, Jamie, going into the game? Is he just like how do you everyone's got different ways. You've told me how nerve-wracking it can be playing the position in big moments. Is he just literally saying, I got to throw a first period at these guys because if I don't, it's just that's game over?
Yeah. I think they're all saying it like Draisaitl, and I don't know how you guys felt about it. The other night, so the game was at 6 o'clock local. They were doing their media at like 11:30 in the morning, 11:45. Calvin Pickard's sitting on the podium with Vander Kane talking. Like, this guy's stopping pucks in game 5 6 hours from now. And the same thing, Stuart Skinner was on the podium with Draisaitl this morning. Like, I do applaud Edmonton's PR group. It's like, we're not hiding these guys. Like, this guy's going out and talking every day regardless, right? So Skinner talked about, he goes, listen, keep in mind, he's been pulled in this building 2 games in a row. Games 3 and 4, he got lifted here. And go back to game 7, he lost. He lost 2-1. So ultimately, I think he has to have a great start. I think he's got to show this group that he can get it done. And that'll be the biggest challenge. But the team needs to play a lot better in front of him because they had a couple looks early on and then they mailed it in game 5. It wasn't good.
Well, that's where I was headed, Noodles. Like, it seems like when Pickard has been in the net more recently, the team played a little bit different or they got different results. Is that part of the concern, I guess, for you with going with Skinner, that the team isn't going to play the way that they had played with Pickard in the net?
I think the biggest thing is, with Pickard, he plays a certain way, which they're like, this guy makes no apologies. He's just aggressive, and he's kind of, they joke it's like a road hockey goaltender, just goes out and it's an unmade bed in there. But the team has to be a lot better. And I think Skinner's at his best when there's more predictability in front of him. And, I think the thought process in talking to somebody from Edmonton this morning is that Skinner's ceiling is higher than Pickard's. So they need his good game is better than Pickard's good game. So what they're hoping on is that he can actually have a good game, where Pickard is more stable. So his high end is lower, but his low end is just below it because he's not wildly inconsistent. Skinner is either top shelf or it's at the bottom. So his swings are a lot more wilder. So what they're saying is we're hoping that this guy, falls on what he had in Dallas because he was at the top of his game and won 7 of 8. So that's kind of what they're looking at.
Well, and what also is concerning, and you can't really control it necessarily, is Bobrovsky, his ceiling is higher than Skinner's ceiling. Like, even if Skinner has a game, Bob could just say, that's good, great, good for you. But
which he very well might do tonight.
That's kind of what I feel like, Noodles, that's almost being, it's not overshadowed or under talk. I mean, everything's been talked to death the last 2 days. But Bob could just say, screw it, man, we're not going back to Edmonton and put a clinic on tonight.
I'm talking about that on SportsCenter. McDavid and Draisaitl, they could have 45 shots, and Bob might go, not getting on the plane. So good, we're winning it tonight because he literally could be the difference maker. Now, he's been really good. He could have played in the lawn chair last game, so he wasn't really pressed. He had a couple saves early on, and Edmonton had a little bit of a push near the end. But you're right. Bobrovsky is the X factor because if he decides that I'm not getting on that plane, like, that's it. That's curtains. And, as much as we talk about Marchand and we talk about Bennett, for Conn Smythe, lost in all this is Bobrovsky. if he decides to not steal, well, he could steal the game, just have a game of his life. And that's it. That's curtains for Edmonton. So he is the X factor. And Paul Maurice even talked about it this morning, saying, I don't think you guys give Bobrovsky enough credit. He said, I talk about McDavid and Draisaitl is that when you watch them so much, you just get used to their special and how special they are. He goes, that's what Bobrovsky's like. You take it for granted how good this guy is. And we talk about it all the time. You know, the only time you talk about goaltending is when you don't have it. And guess what? You talk about Edmonton's goaltending all the time. You're not talking about Florida's.
No kidding.
Jamie, we probably have a couple more hard-hitting questions, but I had to ask you, any fans yell out at you while you're doing this? Loved you as a Panther, Noodles?
No, because the 9 games I played, they were throwaway. There were 6,000 people in the stands, and they wouldn't even know me. But I did have a Hayes is a fraud yesterday.
Oh, good.
Which was,
that's good.
Was really
in South
really
Florida.
concerning.
Hayes is a fraud.
That's probably
Florida,
at Pearson.
The guy came. Well, it was at Pearson, and the guy came up and just said, "Love the show." It was early in the morning too. Love the show. I don't want to bother you, but Hayes is a fraud. I said, okay, fair enough. And
that seems to be that's pretty consistent when people come up to you to say it. Like I got that in Rimouski at the Memorial Cup because our booth was in the stands basically because RDS had the actual booth, and people would come tap on your shoulders, when the play wasn't happening, and be like, "Don't want to bother you. Just want to say Hayes is a fraud."
Yes, I just want everyone to know that.
Yeah, and like parents of kids on the London Knights.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah, that would be big, I would guess.
Yeah,
the Ontario team, I could see being very supportive of that, perpetuating Hayes as a fraud.
I played with a very famous player. Whenever a person would come up to him and say, I hate to bother you, he would say, well, you don't hate it that much because you're doing it.
I wonder who that was.
I got an idea who that might have been.
I feel like I played with the same guy. Chris Pronger used to do that all the time. Pronger feel like, don't mean to bother you. Well, then why are you?
I don't mean to, but well, Prongs was out in Edmonton the other day. He was getting the full treatment, too. They put him up on the screen. Place went nuts. I think he had his kids out there with him. I mean,
you guys haven't heard this story, and I can't wait to tell it. But so Struddy had to fill in. Did you hear the story where Prongs was
I'm aware of the story.
In the Moss Pit?
Yep.
And so they, like the NHL, the Edmonton alumni had promised an autograph session for Chris Pronger in the Moss Pit. And Prongs' flight was canceled and delayed. Jason Strudwick pinch hit, and people were
rioted.
Disappointed. I asked him, I was supposed to meet him for dinner before the game, and he disappeared on me. So honest to God, I go, what happened? He goes, sorry, I had to pinch hit for Prongs. He goes, there was a lot of disappointment. That's what he wrote in the text. I'm like, oh, my God. I cannot believe what people would have said to him. Apparently, they announced it on social media. You got to look at the mentions. Like, it's insane. Oh, man,
I can't even – I don't even want to read those because I would feel – it'd be so cringy. Because, like, what a trade. Yeah. Like, Prongs to Struddy. Now, Struddy's a local guy that everyone loves. But, Chris Pronger is Chris Pronger. And if you're not on social media and you've been in line for 3 hours and your first one and you're like, I'm getting in there and I've got a Pronger jersey and I can't wait to meet him. And they open, they take the rope out and you turn the corner and Struddy's smiling at you.
I'm reading this thing right now. It's outrageous, some of the responses.
in a pair of tight jeans and his hair on sideways, and it's like, there's Struddy.
Someone goes,
insanity.
Maybe the most disappointing thing Pronger has ever done to this franchise.
Imagine the dad conversations with the kid.
Yes.
The dads would grab the kid by the hand and say, we're leaving. We're not doing this.
Yeah, forget it. We're out of here. We'll catch Struddy at the West Edmonton Mall in July.
Yeah. We'll go buy a bookshelf off him.
Exactly. I'm bartering with him right now over the bookshelf.
Someone goes, was
Marketplace.
Was Ladislav Schmid unavailable?
It would be.
It's outrageous.
That is a great comment. Maybe the worst thing Pronger's ever done to this franchise, including demanding a trade out of there. Oh, poor Struddy. But he steps up. Good Edmonton boy, as he should be. As he is. As he is. All right, Noodles. Well, maybe we see you, maybe we don't. I mean, we'll find out what comes, of it tonight.
I'm either flying home tomorrow and on the show, or I'm flying to Edmonton. So I have no idea what we're going to be doing. But we'll know in about 4 hours, I guess.
Yep, that's right. Yep, we're going to know pretty quickly here, man.
A little longer.
It could be. Yeah, it should be a good one. I think the first period's going to indicate a lot in terms of what's left in the tank for the Oilers in particular. And Skinner, I think. I don't see it like a dud from Florida to me would be shocking. Now, again, using the Leaf analogy, it did happen. The Leafs went down there in Game 6 desperately and played a very good game, a low-event game, and won. It's happened before. It's possible, but it just seems like Florida's going to be ready to go tonight, and it's going to be on Edmonton to match it. I mean, that seems likely.
I mean, the urgency from Florida will be there. We'll see if the urgency will be there from Edmonton. And if there can be a separator tonight, and not just 29 or 97, like there's got to be somebody that has a game. If it's a Vander Kane, if you're Edmonton, it's a Vander Kane, and somebody like that, right? A Trent Frederick who has scored. People like that. But in Florida, it might just be Bobrovsky says not happening tonight on my watch, and that's it. Curtains.
Yep.
So who knows?
Exactly. All right, buddy. Enjoy it. Safe travels. Right. Maybe we catch up tomorrow.
Chat later.
There he is.
You bet. Talk to you later.
Jamie Noodles McLennan live from the Cup Final. Coming up on SportsCenter tonight. The Hot Zone tonight. Duthie down there doing his thing. Wonder if Duthie brought his clubs down there. I don't know. All right, we've got Rick Bowness coming up. We've got Keegan Matheson coming up. Jay's in action. Otani pitched 1 inning last night. You see, he hit 100 on the gun last night.
Did he really?
Yes.
Jeez.
Crazy.
100. Like, that to me would be scary. Like, that would terrify me if I.
Yeah, you're Dave Roberts. It's like, you really got to throw a hunch.
Like, you haven't pitched in 2 years. You're going to blow your arm out in game 1. But I guess if he's there, it's a green light special. You got to let him pitch. He's got to throw.
Ordinary people don't make that kind of money. You know what I mean? Like, that's not an ordinary athlete.
Well, exactly. Like, the guy has hit, 25 home runs, and he hits 100 on the radar gun pitching. Yeah. It's absurd. So more on that later this afternoon. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. So Rafael Devers has made his way to San Francisco. And I guess he said, quote, "I'm here to play whatever position they need me to play."
What are you talking about?
I don't know if that's true or not. It sounds like it is. But, like, this guy basically got himself tossed out of Boston because he wouldn't play any position they wanted him to play.
Totally fascinating. You would think that after a team would commit $315 million or whatever the hell the money was, it was more. It was like $400 million.
Yeah, it was a lot of money. Yeah, over 300.
That you would think the first 3 to 4 years of that marriage would be somewhat kind of comfy.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of issues, but the waters got muddied immediately when they brought in Bregman, and it's like, you want to go over there? And he was probably like, what the hell's going on here? Like,
yes, and now the reports out of Boston are that there was a kid that came up through the system that agreed to play first base or try first base, and Devers, I guess, was almost actively pushing him to not do that. Like basically coercing him, like, "Hey, don't start with that. Don't do what the team wants you to do."
But he didn't want to play first base.
No, exactly. But it was like Devers took it personally that another player would be open to the idea of being flexible with his position,
right?
To the point where he was kind of going at the player, suggesting that he shouldn't do that.
I think that guy's doing that.
And that's it. And the Sox, it basically everything that I've been reading the last couple of days out of Boston. Again, smear tactics. Now the Red Sox have to explain why this happened. But they're painting this picture that Devers was it could not have been more of a nuisance to everybody.
Just so toxic.
And it was just like, you just got to get rid of this guy. But then he shows up in San Fran. He's like, "You want me to play left field? I'll play left field.
Isn't it?
Want me to pitch? I can pitch. I can be Ohtani."
It's amazing because then it begs the question, well, was he actually that toxic there? Or is he kind of reading the writing on the wall as far as this might be my last chance here before I really leave a lot of room smelling bad?
And listen, the money follows him to the Bay Area. He's still getting paid. Wherever he's going to play, all that money's guaranteed. All right, TSN 1050 wants to give you the ultimate iHeartRadio experience this summer at Osheaga Music and Arts Festival in Montreal. Just listen to TSN 1050 on the free iHeartRadio app for 10 minutes every day. Click enter when prompted, and you're in the draw. You'll see Olivia Rodrigo, The Killers, Gracie Abrams, and more with Gold Weekend passes. Plus, we'll hook you up with the travel thanks to TripCentral.ca, a 4-night stay at the Montreal Marriott Chateau Champlain, and $500 spending money. Wow, what a giveaway.
Dude, that hotel's nice. It's got the car wash on the toilet.
Dialed in. Listen every day for more chances to win. Details at tsn1050.ca. I'm kind of out of the festival scene. Like, I would you talk about sticking out. Can you imagine me walking around Osheaga?
With your quarter zip?
With my Peter Millar quarter zip.
Love it.
I don't think it would. I think it would probably stick out a little bit. But back in the day, I would love that. Doogie, you got to get in on this. This has got to be a part of your program. All right, final hour coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Final hour OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Rick Bowness here in a few moments. Keegan Matheson later in the hour. Jays, Diamondbacks tonight. It's a dome open kind of night, if there's ever been a dome open kind of night. 30 degrees here, sunny, beautiful. Beautiful. I love it, man. I love the heat. Like we're more than halfway through June, and it's just now become hot.
Yeah, we got shortchanged here, man.
You're a day away from somebody saying, I can't stand the heat.
I know, which to me bothers me so much because you're not wrong. By the end of the week, someone will stop me and say, I can't do this anymore. It's like, guys, it was cold 5 days ago. It was 10 degrees at night. Yeah. Just relax.
There was people 4 days ago downtown, like Lakeshore, Royal York area, winter jackets, puffy coats at 7 in the morning.
Oh, yeah. It was cold, man. We were out. Where was I? I was at my daughter's soccer or something like that, and the sun was going down. It was like legitimately cold out, and that was 4 or 5 days ago. So spare me the heat is just too much. I just can't do it anymore. Yes, you can. We're just getting started.
Yeah.
Let's keep it rocking here. Rick Bowness will join us here in a few moments ahead of Game 6 Cup Final tonight. I guess tomorrow we'll have picks for the Travelers. It's a great event, great course, great field. McIlroy's in it. Scheffler's in it. J.J. Spawn is in it, as he should be.
And paired together with Scheffler. He wins the U.S. Open. He gets the heater pairing.
I like that, man. I kind of like that. Like, Scheffler's going to have everyone, all eyes on Scheffler, but you win the U.S. Open, you should bask in that for a while.
Absolutely, man.
Right?
But you want to go out there and play well. You're like, I'm the guy that won the U.S. Open. The thing is, those guys go so low on that golf course, they make it look like a pitch and putt.
Yeah. Like, Furyk shot a 58 there, didn't he? It was a 59 for sure, but I thought he had a 58 at Travelers. Like, I think there's been a few. Didn't Jake Knapp have a 59 there last year? He might have.
Patrick Cantley might have blew a 61 at that place as an amateur.
Yeah. Like, it looks like a great course, but clearly these guys just destroy it, which is such a wild. That's why golf is crazy. Last week, these guys are pulling their hair out, can't shoot anything, freaking out, can't hit greens, can't, nothing. And now this week, the winner is going to be like 28 under.
Even if you hit the green last week, you're like praying that you don't three-jack it.
Yeah. The size of the greens, the undulation, like the
I saw
stimp.
A tweet today from Oakmont where a 0.6 handicap played the members' tees, not even the tips, and like championship flags, and blew a 93 at it.
Yeah.
0.6 handy.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I'm happy the U.S. Open is done, though. I don't enjoy watching that other than 1 week. I think that's it. It's you hate it?
I hate it, period. I don't know if the big thing is we want to identify the best players. Give me the top 20 in the leaderboard. Did you really do that?
No.
I don't know if you did.
I don't think you did. I don't like to see guys squirm all over the course and they're in their own heads. It's not. There's a happy medium between guys, after 4 rounds shooting -22 and what we just saw last week. I want to see guys hit great shots. These are the best players in the world.
Now, Oakmont was an extreme example. It's, a lot of those guys said this is the most difficult course on earth. Like, this is as tough as it gets. You can't make it tougher than this. So, there have been U.S. Opens where you're like, it's going to be so tough, and then the winner's like 11 under, and you're like, that doesn't seem right either.
Right.
But JP did confirm it. Like, Furyk shot a 58 at the Travelers.
Jeez.
Like, that's a pendulum. No one should ever shoot 58 on tour. Like, it's a cool story. It's kind of like a perfect game. But 58?
Yeah.
Like, that guy, what kind of round is that? And it's Jim Furyk. Like,
I know. He's hitting at 260 off the tee.
Jimmy had that inside out, outside in swing.
Yeah.
And
but ripping hybrids at flags.
I guarantee you, he hit a few 5-irons into par 4s.
Dude, I guarantee you he hit hybrids into par 4s. I would guarantee you that. Hybrids.
And he had no shame doing so.
Well, obviously not a 58. Can you imagine the analytics on that?
Yeah.
58.
My buddy played with him down at Sawgrass all the time. And I said, how far does his T-ball go? And he'd say 265 max out.
But he knows exactly where it's going every time.
He grabs a 4 hybrid and puts it to 10 feet every time and rolls the rock.
Dude, and I'll bet you, like, even if you went into the if
4 hybrid,
yes,
he's not hitting a 4 hybrid, man. He's definitely got a 4 iron.
I don't know. I think he's a big hybrid guy.
Yeah,
dude.
He will shred 4 hybrids like no other.
That's like Freddie Couples, man. I remember he had that Eagle at Augusta. It was a 6 hybrid he hit.
6 hybrid is outrageous. There's no way Bones has a 6 hybrid in the bag. Bones is a purist.
You don't think so?
No chance.
You think Rick Bowness?
I say Rick Bowness carries a 2 iron.
You think he's got? That's a sign of an old school pure golfer.
This is a purist.
That's a purist as someone with a 2 iron. Here's longtime NHL head coach and allegedly has a 2 iron in the bag. Rick Bowness joining us here on Overdrive. How you doing, Rick?
I'm good. Listen, I'm too old to swing a 2 iron, man. There's no chance I'd get that in the air.
Yeah.
You had one, though. For sure you had one at one point.
Yeah, I think I did a long time ago. So the swing speed is not now what it used to be. So we do go to the hybrids, but I do have a 5 iron in the bag. But I have a 22-degree utility club. I use that as my 4 iron.
I like that, man. I have the same setup. It's a beautiful setup. I will proudly say I got a 4 hybrid, and I love everything about it. But yeah, you're right. Like just looking at a 2 iron would be terrifying, man. Like how you possibly could get that off the ground. I don't think it's possible. I really don't.
Well, I played golf with my son Ryan last week in Ottawa, and he had a driving iron, and I hit that a couple of times because it's on a tee, so you have a better chance of getting the thing in the air. And actually, I didn't mind that at all. It's a nice club, and he hit it great. I hit it good a couple of times. It's worth a try.
Yeah, the driving iron, I have seen it. I think you hit one of those, Frankie, don't you?
Yeah,
I've seen you motor one of those around.
I'll put it in and out of the bag. I'll switch it out with the 3 hybrid every once in a while. Depends how I'm feeling.
Okay, and the course and the setup.
I started slashing that driving iron, and it came right out of the bag back to the hybrid.
Yeah, you got to be flexible with that. You have to be. So, Rick, what do you make it tonight? Like we've spoken on both teams a lot over the last couple of days. Who do you believe will dictate the pace of the game, the style of the game tonight? Is it more likely to be Florida or the desperate Edmonton Oilers?
I'm going with Florida. Listen, I just think Florida's a better team. And if you break it down, the goaltending's better. The top 4D are better. The top 9 forwards are better. Obviously, Edmonton is missing Hyman. I just think Florida's a better team. They've learned. They don't want to run the risk of going into Game 7. Now, you give Edmonton a kind of credit because you know they're going to come out hard and they're going to be coming after them. I think if you get to that first time out and Florida's got things under control and they're going to feel pretty good about themselves. Edmonton has to come out of the gate hard. But the biggest thing for me with Edmonton, man, they've got to play whistle to whistle. They got to get away from these scrums and all this other thing. You are not going to intimidate the Florida Panthers. You're just not. You have to play whistle to whistle. The whistle blows, get out of there and get focused and get ready for your next shift. You get into all these scrums and pushing and shoving and face washes and everything. You're playing right into Florida's hands. So they've got to be desperate, but they've got to play with controlled emotion. They can't let the emotion get out of hand and get into those scrums. But I do believe that Florida is going to persevere simply because they've been there. They know what it takes, and they know they do not want to go into Edmonton for a Game 7. So I'd go with Florida tonight.
Rick, a lot of head coaches I talk to say the conversations with starting goaltenders are very minimal. Like it's between the goalie coach and they kind of filter things back through the head coach. Would that be the ultimate case tonight for Stuart Skinner and Knobloch? Like, what could you possibly say? I'm sure everybody knows what's on the table. He picked him. He's just got to go out and do a job.
Yeah, I would say that's a conversation between the three of them, and the head coach should be in there with the goalie coach and Stuart. And they're supposed to be their guy. He's supposed to be their number one guy. He's bounced back from bad games before. They're going to need him to be at his absolute best tonight. If they have any chance at all, he's going to have to maybe steal a 10-minute in each period when things aren't going their way. He's going to have to make some saves that he's not supposed to make. He's got to make all the saves he's supposed to make. But I think that's a conversation the three of them have. But again, he's supposed to be the guy, and that's up to the head coach and the goalie coach that can. You are the guy. We have total faith in you tonight, and that's why we're going right back with you. So again, those conversations are crucial. You have to lay all the cards on the table. But again, as you said, they all know. Listen, you lose, you're going. It's over. So everyone's well aware of it. I think a little pat in the back from the coach and the goalie coach is going to help him, but it's all going to come down to Stewart and the way he handles himself in his preparation for going into tonight's game. And that being said, he's going to need a little help. They can't be giving up some grade A's early. They can't be getting in the penalty box early and getting Florida a lot of momentum.
Bones, how frustrating would it be for you as a coach if, you have to prepare your team for the Florida Panthers, but there's no surprises. Everyone knows what the Florida Panthers are all about. Like, how do you kind of go about that, and what are you preaching to your group at this point, to try and get something more out of them in such a crucial game?
Just to focus on what we mentioned earlier, just that whistle to whistle. You get out there, puck drops, be ready to go. Your name's being called, be ready to go. And get away from all the other extracurricular things. Focus on the game you have to play and be the best version of yourself you can be. They have to have the best version of each and every player going into tonight's game. And you do that by getting your preparation and the way you get ready for your next shift. And if you listen, every shift's not going to be in Picasso, right? It's just not. If you have a bad shift, get back to the bench, figure it out, and get ready for your next shift. And your teammates are going to be relying on you to do that. They're going to have a consistent effort in it pretty much every shift. When it doesn't go well, make sure the next lineup is ready to go and gets momentum back. But you really, really want to focus on just being the best version of yourself. Get away from all the extracurricular activities. Whistle to whistle as hard and as smart as you can, and as together as you can, as a line or as a defensive pairing, as a five-man unit.
So as far as that momentum goes, you have two great weapons. If you're Chris Knobloch, you have McDavid and Draisaitl. Like, how early into this game are you kind of pushing that button saying, I got to get these two guys together because I can maybe feel the game swaying in one direction, and I want to capitalize on that?
He won't be able to hesitate tonight. I love the way he comes back after every power and penalty kill, or he's coming right back with them and gives them a couple of shifts together to get momentum back on their side. So I don't think he'll hesitate. And, icing's come into play here. He's right. Florida ices the puck a few times. They throw those guys out for the ozone faceoff. So, obviously Florida can't change, and icing's come into play a little bit here because every ozone faceoff's a potential scoring opportunity should you win the face-off. So those little things are going to come into play. But I think if things aren't going well and he's got to get momentum, then he's got to have to put them together. Now, that being said, a lot of that depends on the health of Nugent Hopkins. When Nugent's playing like he has been, and he's able to do that more because you come right back with Nugent as Hopkins as your second-line center. You have Draisaitl with David out there. You've got to have a second-line center coming in there. Nugent Hopkins is the perfect guy. So a lot will depend on how he's playing and how he's feeling. And if he looks fine and he's feeling 100%, then you can do it more often. If he's struggling, then you're not going to be able to do it as often as you would like.
Rick, if the Panthers pull this off tonight, what do you think it would mean for Paul Maurice and his standing amongst the coaches? It would be 4 trips to the finals, back-to-back cups. It's pretty impressive stuff.
Well, it is. Amongst the peers, listen, nothing but total respect for Paul. He's had a great career, and he's a great coach. And obviously, that's, he's like you mentioned, 4 times to the Stanley Cup Finals. You get back-to-back to Stanley Cups. Man, you're doing a lot of good things. And I give Bill Zito a ton of credit here. Listen, and forget the job he has done. Right? Like, don't ever underestimate what Bill Zito has done for that hockey club. And it goes back when he picked up Matthew Tkachuk. And all of a sudden, you go get Bennett. And all of a sudden, you go get Marshy. And Seth Jones, this is the best I've seen him play. It shows good players need to play with good players. And Seth Jones has been a perfect fit for them. So Bill Zito has done a great job, but certainly Paul is, among the coaches, he's right up there. He's a great coach. You couldn't be happier for him. And if you get back-to-back Stanley Cups, you're doing a lot of good things.
Yeah, there's no kidding when it comes to that front. And, I mean, everything Florida's done has worked. You mentioned, obviously, their head coach, Maurice, being a big part of that, Bill Zito being a big part of that, their GM. And he acquires Jones, he acquires Brad Marchand, and you're familiar with Brad and the way he's playing. Like, there are some making the argument this is the best he's ever played in his career. Right? Where do you stand on how much Marchand has popped since he's been in Florida and how much he evidently still has left in the tank in terms of being an impact player throughout the rest of his career?
Well, he's loving it right now.
Yeah.
He's loving the attention he's getting. But let's go back to 2011. We lost Game 7 against the Boston Bruins, and Marchand was great that whole series. So that was my first real, watching him play up close on every second night. And you realize what a great player he was. It really is. And right now, he's in the perfect role, and he is. He's on that third line. He's given it a lot of energy. He's not on their number one power play, but he gets some power play time. He's a huge part of their penalty kill. So I love the role that Paul's put him in, and he's been a perfect fit. Because I know when he first got traded there, and they had a lot of injuries. They were having a tough time. Okay, where are we going to play Marchand? Who's he fit with? But with all the injuries they had, it took a while to get him in that right role and with the right people. And his line mates, that third line is, man, that's a dangerous line. They can play against anybody. They can go there against David and Draisaitl and check them and do a great job with them and make it hard for them to play. So I love the way Marchand's playing. He's an unrestricted free agent. But he's enjoying every minute of it out there, and he loves being the rat. He loves the attention he's getting on the ice from Edmonton, and I couldn't be happier from him. He's a Halifax kid, as we all know. We got to pump those guys
of course.
up. Right.
Yep.
Got to pump those guys. But I couldn't be happier for him. And listen, that was a great trade. He's a perfect fit for what they needed, and he's a perfect fit for that role that he's playing right now. And he's taken full advantage of it. And if I had to have a vote in that consummate right now, it's Brad, because he's of the timely goals he scored. It's not, he's got a lot of goals, but man, he's scoring some very timely goals in the overtime and the first goal in the games. And like those things are huge for momentum builders for teams. So he would get my vote as going into tonight. He would get my vote for the consummate.
Bones, you've obviously, you've been in the NHL for what seems like a lifetime. You've been on so many different teams, great teams. And you look at this Florida Panthers team, and everyone seems to fit perfectly. Like you're not force-feeding guys into situations where you may be asking too much of them. Like overall, all your years, how rare was it to find a team or to coach a team where it's like all the pieces of the puzzle just kind of fit perfectly, and I'm not asking too much out of this guy or that guy, because that seems to be the case for the Florida Panthers. It's a perfect fit for seemingly everyone involved.
It is. They're all playing the perfect roles, and they are. You get Seth Jones playing behind Ekblad. You got Marchand playing third line. Sam Bennett find a better second line center in the league. He can't. And the roles they're all perfectly fitted for the roles that they're being and the minutes that they're asking. They're like, that's just as important. You can have all the roles you want, but the minutes are important, and they're all playing the right amount of minutes. And give Nate Schmidt a lot of credit. Look how well he's fit in there and how well he's playing on that third pairing D. So it is. It's why I go back to Bill Zito, man. That's a perfectly constructed team. They can beat you in any type of game you want to play. They can beat you at it. You want to play nasty? Okay, we'll play nasty. You want to play fast? Okay, we'll play fast. You want to play physical? We'll play physical. It's a perfectly built team, and it's the roles and the minutes that they're being asked to play. And it goes back to being a very well coached team by Paul. But you're absolutely right. That team has been a lot of thought went into that, a lot of effort went into that in building that team. But it's a perfectly constructed team, and it can beat you any game, any way you want to play. They'll find a way to win.
Rick, you mentioned Sam Bennett, there not being a better second-line center in the league. How would you value him moving forward? We all know how valuable he is in the playoffs, but one of the biggest debates in the last month and a half with watching his success on the ice is he's great in the playoffs, but are you going to pay upwards of $9 and $10 million for a guy that doesn't get 60 points? How would you view that if you were approached about the proposition of bringing aboard Bennett to play second-line center? Because I know my approach would be you pay him whatever you can.
Well, exactly. Listen, so if your approach is, okay, we're going into this year, we want to win the Stanley Cup. That's bottom line. We want to win the Stanley Cup. We have to improve here. Then you go get it. And if it costs that much, then it costs that much. We get into the playoffs, he's going to help you win a Stanley Cup. And that always comes back to the bottom line. Every player you look at, you're saying, okay, can we win the Stanley Cup with this guy playing in that role? And that applies to pretty much every player in the league. So now you look at every team around the league, and if you think you're that close to the Stanley Cup, okay, we can really upgrade our second line center. And again, it's all the nasty way he plays, the face-off, the penalty kill. He does so many things that help you win. So you look at him; he helps us win the Stanley Cup. If you have to overpay him, you have to overpay him. If your goal is to win the Stanley Cup, then you have to overpay him, and that's what you have to do. Because, man, you do win with guys like him. You love how he competes, you love what he brings, and you love the consistency of how he plays. It's every night, it's every shift. He's in your face. He's out there to win every shift, and that's what I love about the guy. There's no shift off in the playoffs. You have to get in the playoffs first, obviously, but there's no shifts off, and he's in your face, and he's coming to play. And, as coaches, we talk a lot about grit. One of the things I keep talking about lately is nasty. You got to be a little nasty out there, man. And because that's the intensity and the passion ramps up. You want to win, you got to be a little bit nasty. He brings that to the table, and he drags everybody else into the fight because he's not the biggest guy out there, right? So you got to remember that. And now you got this guy out there, and the way he plays, he drags everybody into the fight, which makes you a better team, which improves your chances of winning the Stanley Cup.
Well, he's on the verge of possibly winning his second one tonight. And if it doesn't happen tonight, maybe it's on Friday, Game 7. I'm pulling for a Game 7. We all are. I'm sure you are too, Rick. Why not more hockey? But it's on Edmonton to pull their weight. We'll see how it plays out. It's always great catching up with you. Thank you for doing this.
My pleasure, guys. Frankie, good to see you, man. You're doing a great job up there. Keep it going.
Thanks, Bones. Appreciate you, man.
You guys.
Thanks.
You got it. There's Rick
and
Bowness.
Hayes are doing good too, Rick. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, now you know how I feel. Years ago when we started, I used to tell these stories all the time. We'd have their teammates on, and at the end it would be just like that. Oh, Noodles, great chat with you guys. You're like, what? I didn't chat?
Those were the worst. They'd be like, O-Dog, Noodles, great to chat. Or it would just be Noodles or O-Dog. And it would just be like, God, that was tough for me to listen to.
It was cringeworthy stuff.
Yeah, cringe.
And you just pulled that on us. You came on here, and Rick Bowness basically told O and I that we're two losers and nobodies. Yeah. And this is the Frankie Corrado show.
I did not intend for that to happen.
Well, he's a good man.
He is an unbelievable guy and a great coach. It was nice to talk to him.
Yeah, you talk about a coaching lifer, man. More games than anybody in terms of head coaching and assistant coaching. He's been everywhere.
More games and also more approval rating from his players than any coach you could possibly imagine. I don't know what the number would be, 2,500, 3,000 players, 2,500 players maybe played for Rick Bowness. 24.99, love him. You know what I mean? He's one of those guys where guys love playing for Bones.
Yeah, he is. He just had an unbelievable career. And he mentioned his son, Ryan. He's the new assistant GM down with the Islanders. Ryan Bowness, he was with the Senators for the last few years, and now he's down in Long Island, assistant GM of the New York Islanders. So maybe he joins Shinnecock or something down there.
Hey.
Wouldn't that be? That'd be a pretty good setup.
Do you think if you're the AGM or the GM of the Islanders, you have to camp out to play Bethpage?
It's a public course, so I don't think so. Bethpage is like Torrey Pines.
Yeah, but people camp out.
Is that how it works?
You go, you put your name in, you sleep in the parking lot, and then they call you to the tee.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You got to go at 4 a.m.
Okay. And that's specifically for Bethpage Black, because there's multiple
maybe it's
courses.
Just the black course.
Yeah,
I
think
wonder,
so.
If you got that kind of
I don't think so. I don't think Bowness. I don't think Patrick was sleeping in his car to play Bethpage. I think someone makes a phone call. But generally, those community places, if you live in that neighborhood, it's really cheap for you.
That's out in California.
Yeah, Torrey Pines,
yeah.
It's $35 to play Torrey Pines
if you have the zip code.
Yeah, if you're in the zip code. Same thing with St. Andrews is what I've heard. If you're a constituent of of the town, then I believe you can play it for free.
I wonder if they have certain tee times blocked off for residents.
Man, that would piss me off if I flew over to St. Andrews and some guy who's played the course 400 times.
Dude, but I don't think you can play it for free if you live in the hood.
That's my understanding.
Dude, look that up. There's no way in hell.
It may not. If
500 pop for everyone else, and guys with a pot belly and suspenders on in work boots, wheels out there for free?
Because it's a community-run and owned operation. Like the whole town revolves around the golf course.
Absolutely not. No way, no how.
I don't know. Look that up. I might have bad information on that.
Free seems excessive.
At a minimum access to the club at a cut rate.
Guys trip, and it's just held up on the old Tom Morris's grandson's got to come out there. Go ahead.
Out there just snapping on people. Seamus and the boys. Who's just a puddle. He's just been pounding pints. And Seamus shows up and goes, I'm from here and I'm playing.
Yeah.
Playing the old course today.
Where's Hornswoggle?
Yeah. William
Hand
Wallace.
me the niblick.
William Wallace's great-great-great-grandson just motors over there. Says, give me the big stick. I'm playing. Look that up, Doogie. Find out the details of playing St. Andrews. I believe the locals have a minimum access. Pretty sure that's the case with Torrey Pines. Might be the same with Bethpage.
They got to have.
It's about cash. You think they're going to say no to somebody that wants to pay $500 American if it's still that?
They don't need cash, though, at St. Andrews. Like, it's like Augusta almost. They're like, we don't even need you. What, you don't think some other guy's going to call up and say, I'll take that time? You know, like there's always, it's, I've never played it, but.
Doogie, just get to the bottom of that.
What do you have, Doogie?
He's got like,
Doogie's sending him, Doogie sends Wikipedia links for stuff like this.
Wikipedia. He types it in on, I already know, he goes Chat GPT.
Yes.
And then he copies and pastes it. And
is that what are you plagiarizing Chat GPT?
Not a chance.
GP Doogie.
Chat GPT Doogie.
It sounds, some of the text that you send would suggest to me that you might be plagiarizing. We might have to file a complaint on Doogie. Yeah. What's the HR policy on Doogie possibly plagiarizing? Anyway, St. Andrews University students, they still pay a lot of money. Oh, no, look at this. St. Andrews University students pay an annual rate of $425 American for unlimited play on all 7 courses. That's $425 American for an annual. You can play as much as you want whenever you want.
No way, man. That's twice a summer. You're not wheeling out there every day at 8 a.m. and saying, sorry, my tea.
All right. Scottish residents can enter a Drive Initiative lottery for about $53 American to play the old course. Yeah. $53 cash for a Scotsman to come down and say, this is step aside. I'm playing.
Get off me tee box.
I kind of love that idea. It's an institution. We should have that here. We should be able to play like great places where you just make a phone call and say, I'm from Toronto.
Well, would you guys,
I want to play this course.
If you live in Durham region, call up a Durham region course and say, I'm the.
Maybe I will.
I'm all over the back streets of Durham region, running over Luke Wilson, and I'm coming to tee it.
All right. My bad. That could have been some tunnel vision, fake news. I thought I heard that. All right, Keegan Matheson coming up on the Jays' plan when it comes to the rotation. Bowden Francis on the IL. Max Scherzer making another rehab stint. What happens here moving forward? And a big series with Arizona in town. They're a good team. Game over 500. They're a good team. Diamondbacks in town for 3 starting tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and up on YouTube Live.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, best bets coming up later in the hour on Game 6 Cup Final. Watching Noodles up on SportsCenter. Black suit, gray shirt, black tie. Really,
let me put on my surprise face.
There's never color on this guy, ever. Like, he is in South Florida. It's 90 degrees, and we're basically in summer.
Yeah.
And it could not be a more dark on dark on dark vibe.
Yeah, and if it was this morning at morning skate, he had his black Nike pants on and his goalie golf shirt and a goalie hat.
Yeah,
I've seen that goalie golf shirt recently.
I love it. I love his style, man. He's got his look, and that's how it goes.
Yeah.
All right, Keegan Matheson coming up here in just a moment. So Max Scherzer will make another rehab start with the Bisons. I believe, is that later in the week, maybe on Friday? And then if all goes well there, the presumption is he'll return to the team next week. Bowden Francis is on the IL today with, what are they calling it, a shoulder impingement? I love that. Basically, they throw a dart at the board and say, what are we going to call this so that this guy can disappear for 2 weeks? You know, like, what are we going to do here so that he can find a way to not be around? So he's on the 15-day IL, so he's going to miss, 3 times through the rotation. Right shoulder impingement. But it's the right play. You can't have Francis pitch again. He's got to reset. I would guess after this, he probably makes a rehab start. That would be my plan with him. And then you got to make a call at that point. Also, Eric Swanson designated for assignment. That's a tough one, man. Like, he was obviously straight up for Teoscar Hernandez, 1 for 1. Not a deal that worked out well, clearly. He was a disaster last year. He barely pitched for them. I was almost surprised he was on the radar this year. And in the end, he really wasn't because he didn't pitch well enough, and they've basically they've designated him for assignment. Trade. Yeah, not a good trade in retrospect. Here he is from MLB.com. Author Keegan Matheson. What's happening, Keegan? How we doing?
Doing well, fellas. How's everything going?
Well, we're doing all right. We're trying to project how this 5-man rotation is going to work for the Blue Jays. Okay. Look into your crystal ball. Let's say 20 days from now, maybe even 30. Let's go a month. A month from now. You presume health. Gosman's there. Bassett's there. Barrios is there. Who else is pitching in this rotation?
I think Scherzer's there. I don't know if he's going to be throwing 6-7 innings at a time, but I think he's there in a certain sense. I'm interested to see if they push him up to a full 100 pitches or not, because the further you go, the worse that thumb tends to get, is my impression so far. So his rehab tomorrow is a big one. Guys, this is not a normal rehab where you're just trying to build your pitch count up. It's rehabbing and hoping a little bit. So we'll see. But after that, you have that group of Bowden Francis and Lauer and Schultz and Turnbull that's kind of messy. And I think a month from now, July 17, we're talking about who they can trade for, frankly, to fill the back end of that rotation. Alek Manoah won't be back yet. Trey Savage will be enticing, but every one of these names has a question mark next to them. And for a lot of years, the Jays haven't had those question marks. It's a new ground for them.
Keegan, as far as Bowden Francis, how does he go from being borderline elite last year, where he was stunning and he was a ton of strikeouts, some really impressive starts? How does he start from scratch and find his game? Like we've seen it with goaltenders, how they need a break and they got to do whatever they got to do in hockey. But as far as a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball, how does he start from scratch and kind of look for his game and find his game?
Yeah, he got figured out, plain and simple, I think, at this point. And
what does that mean, though, for the average guy driving around? What does that mean he got figured out? They just knew what he was throwing?
Yeah, they knew what was coming, and there was not a dominant pitch coming. The way the comparison I use, guys, I think is valuable would be Kevin Gausman. If Kevin Gausman sucks for a month, he's still going to go back out and do the same thing. He's going to throw his splitter low, his fastball high, because a splitter, when it's good, is one of the best pitches a starter has in Major League Baseball. I don't know what that pitch is for Bowden Francis. And if you are relying on mixing and matching and really hitting your spots, you've got to be perfect. And late last year, he almost was, guys. He was incredible. But once the rest of the league wakes up to that and really starts paying attention, you need to counterpunch, and he has not counterpunched. That's why we see lots of guys come up and they can have success, like Easton Lucas earlier in the year. He looked great for 2 starts and then looked brutal for 2 starts because the rest of the league spent more than 5 minutes looking at video. That's what's happened in a bigger sense to Bowden Francis now. So this, I think, for Francis should be a more complete reset. Maybe that involves some time in Dunedin at the lab, really bringing it down to the roots, but finding out what he's good at. What's his thing going to be right now? Because when you get caught chasing things, trying to make these micro adjustments from start to start, you're toast. If you're trying to play catch up in the middle of the season in June and July when hitters are hot, you're toast. So I think a reset's great for Bowden right now. I still believe in him as a starter in this league, but, man, he's got to get his feet back under him because these past couple of months were pretty tough.
Well, you mentioned Alek Manoah, who is still rehabbing, and, again, I don't believe, projects to be available until August. That was the last I heard. I don't know if you've heard anything else. But what, the transition from Manoah being out of the limelight here for the better part of a year and a half. I will say this, the dust has settled on that disastrous, 6 weeks he had, 8 weeks, whatever it was. I mean, it was really the carryover of the year before that. But the idea of this front office with everything on the line, the team's playing pretty well. They're above 500. They're in a wild card spot. Selling to people that Manoah is going to find a way to transition back into the scene almost seems impossible to me. I don't want to sound pessimistic, but I guess that's what I'm willing to sound like. I can't picture Manoah as a Blue Jay anymore. Where do you stand on this, and what are you hearing on the rehabbing and the likelihood that he ever could, reclaim his position on this team?
Hey, man, pessimism's important in baseball. I think especially when you're looking at starting pitching like this. And right now, kind of August 1st is the ballpark idea for Manoah. In the Blue Jays' dream world, he comes back and does what Hyun-Jin Ryu did a couple of years ago. When Ryu came back from Tommy John, had those 10 or 11 starts down the stretch, 3.5 ERA, helped them into the playoffs. Everybody's happy. Everyone's beautiful. I don't know if that's going to happen this year. It's been a few years since Alek Manoah was an effective major league starter. That's just the reality that we're living in right now. And when you go back to 22 and his years coming up as a prospect, he looked like a modern frontline starter who was not just good, but could do it for 200 innings. Now, if he gets back to that, it's going to take even a couple of years from now, given where his workload's at. Can he give them something down the stretch? Maybe, but I don't think you can plan on it. I think if the Blue Jays are sitting there at the trade deadline and they're counting on Manoah to do something, that's a mistake. That's risky at this point. Let him pleasantly surprise you. If he kicks the door down, fantastic. And he's a guy who's going to embrace that opportunity. He's going to love trying to be that player and that character. And if he does it, great. But I don't think the Blue Jays can be betting on that right now. When you look at last year, the year before, how this has gone for them. I think this is more about 2026 and beyond with Alek, if you can get back to close to who he was. But it's been a while. And if you're being a serious playoff team, you can't bet on that. You need to have that be the extra.
How close is the kid they drafted in the first round last year, Trey Yesavage? It sounds like the stuff is good and they're kind of moving him up. Is that any kind of option at some point this year?
That's the fun one, man. That's where this gets fun. And I think back to when Aaron Sanchez in 2014, 2015 debuted as a reliever. He didn't have enough innings left to fully be a starter. And Yesavage right now, about 100 innings last year in NCAA ball. He's on track to be at about 120, 130 this year. And that's probably a comfortable spot. I don't think Savage is going to come up and be throwing 7-inning outings as a starter. But if the Blue Jays find themselves stuck, guys, in this what do they do with the 5th spot situation, which I think they're still in, why not? Savage has the upside, man. He is polished. I think he is awfully close to being MLB ready. And if they don't find an answer, and if they don't nail that 5th spot by August, you've got to entertain it. And I did not think we'd be having that conversation this year. But his stuff is legitimate. He is a grown-up on the mound. He's mature, and that matters. You can't say that about all prospects right away. But he's the X factor, man. He's the fun idea in all of this. And there's a little edge to Savage, too, man. I think people are really going to fall in love with that guy when he's up.
Keegan, how important is it for these guys to kind of rebound after that thumping in Philly and kind of let the fan base know here in Toronto that they're not going to get tortured for the next 20 or 30 games? Like, it's kind of Like, they got to tell everyone it's just okay here. We're the guys that you saw before that Phillies series.
It's important, guys. The Leafs are done. The Stanley Cup's about to be over. Everyone's going to be watching baseball. This is the time to grab a fan base. They did a good job of that a week ago, sweeping the Cardinals, starting out that road trip. You need to grab the fan base back because it can slip quickly. There's a lot of other stuff to do in the summer, even if there's nothing to watch at night. So these are big games because they have separated themselves from 500. They were stuck to 500 for 2 months. It was boring baseball. They're finally getting away from 500. And especially, guys, we are 6-7 weeks away from the trade deadline. Every conversation we have for the next month and a half is going to be about the deadline. Whether they win, they lose, somebody gets hurt, hot or cold. It's all about this deadline. Man, this is where it gets exciting. And if they go on a bit of a run here, start to get 6, 7, 8 games above 500, then you're buying. Then you're aggressive, no matter what. And that's the best place to be for a team, but also for a fan base. You have a little bit of hope there. But if they start slipping, you get back towards that 500, this starts to look like an in-the-middle team, which a lot of folks feared it would be going into the year. So they need to stay away from that 500 mark. It's been a bit of a magnet this year.
With Keegan Matheson, I also think this is where the spotlight really starts to shine on Vladdy, who, he's had a good year, but it has not been a great year. Like his numbers, he's hit 8 home runs. He's got a 790 OPS. Those are not $500 million numbers, to put it lightly. And this is where, he's been waiting for this. They've been waiting for this. They've committed to him. Outside of this most recent series in Philly, there's been a lot of winning. Kirk's been on fire. Barger's been outstanding. Bichette's playing well. Springer's kind of regrouped after a bad, 4 to 6 weeks. For me, it's Vladdy. Like, what are you seeing? What are you hearing from Vladdy? Where it was around this time last year.
I was going to say, this is his, like,
that it was like, it's go time.
Period.
Exactly. Yeah. It's go time. Where do you anticipate that could be the case again this year with Vladdy?
Needs to be, and I think it will be, honestly. I really think that's coming for Vladdy. I haven't noticed him lately. Guys, I for better or for worse, I just haven't noticed Vladdy lately in these games. And that's not a good thing. You're paying him $500 million. He's the face of a team that's playing really good baseball. But that's why this team has made no sense. I mean, Varsho's down, Santander's down, Scherzer's down. You're getting contributions from players I didn't expect. And you're seeing the bottom of this lineup at times carry the Blue Jays, but not Vladdy. And Vladdy is capable of stealing games. Like, he can go out and have a performance that turns a 5-2 loss into a 6-5 win. And those are the types of things that are going to keep the Blue Jays separated from 500. They're not a dominant team right now, but they have a player who can be dominant by himself and take over some games. It's got to happen. It needs to happen now, and I think he's close. But Vladdy can't just be good. A good season from Vladdy is not good enough. He's here to be great. I think he's capable of that. But right now, he's kind of stuck in that 2023-ish range of just good. And we know he's a lot better than a good ball player.
How's the book going, Keegan? How are we feeling about things?
So far, so good. A little well-timed winning streak helped out the marketing. That was okay. So I enjoyed it. Treated myself to some celebrations on the road. So it was nice. But it's going well so far. No great scandals or mistakes have been uncovered yet from it. So it's already exceeding expectations.
That is a beautiful thing. And the book is out. It's available wherever you're going to buy your books, right? The franchise, Keegan Matheson, MLB.com, and esteemed author. Esteemed author. Love catching up with you, buddy. Thank you for doing this.
You got it, fellas. We'll talk soon.
There he is, Keegan Matheson. I wish we could write a book. Duffy's got another book out.
Yeah.
Duffy's got a book coming out again.
You could write a book.
I don't know, man. I think I need a ghostwriter.
Well, yeah, everyone has a ghostwriter. Duffy's got a ghostwriter.
Does Duffy? I don't know. Duffy, does he? I'm not sure. I don't know what. Like Duffy,
does all that writing.
He's a hardworking guy, Duffy.
He does.
He actually writes it.
Hardworking guy.
Come on.
Some of those stupid songs that we do for video, like he makes a puck over glass, bad for Bedard. He will literally. He's so good. He'll write that on an hour plane ride back from Ottawa, and then we're meeting the next day and just blasting it out. Like that's what we're talking about, where some other person would have a cramping brain for weeks. He'll write it in 10 minutes on a plane ride home.
That's impressive. I thought everyone
writing a book is different than writing a mock song.
Oh, I get it, but
like a book
he does that with ease
man.
as well. The guy's like I see him on his computer, and I can tell when he's up to something like that. I'm pretty sure that element would come with ease.
Yeah, I just always assumed guys like that aren't writers have a ghostwriter. I don't know if
yeah, exactly.
You go to school for writing. Who says we can just pick up a
I got a bunch of
Word
stories
document and write it?
I'll tell you stories, but I'm going to need someone to probably formulate all that.
Call Fez.
Yeah,
get Fez to write.
Okay, but what am I writing? What book am I going to write?
Brian Hayes, A Lifetime Behind the Microphone.
Yeah, a lifetime behind the mic.
Yeah.
Okay.
From my microphone to your car, the Brian Hayes story.
Wow. What kind of numbers do you think we do on that?
You do big numbers.
I don't know.
Locally.
Pretty isolated
What about
market.
this?
Locally,
Brian Hayes, Toronto sports, my way.
That I like. All right, let's go. The wheels are in motion.
Yeah, the last 20 years of Toronto sports, the championships.
That's what it is. That's your book right there.
Yeah.
You chronicle all the major
deep dive
Toronto
into
sports
Toronto
stories
sports, yes.
and how you experienced them and how you approach talking about them the next day.
Brilliant.
And you have who did you interview back in 2013 on the show? You're like, I remember interviewing so-and-so, and this is what I thought about and what we talked about. I think there's something there.
All right, man.
You got to have the Jake Delhomme clip, though. You got to have an audio version in the Jake Delhomme clip when the grappler absolutely sewered us.
Oh, man, was that a jam job? That was.
Get that ready, JP. We're playing it when we come back.
It's Delhomme. All right, we'll try to play that
Jake
quickly.
Plummer, how's it going? It's Delhomme. Get it ready, JP.
Yeah, come on, JP. Best bets in Delhomme next.